Border.
Well, that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
give me just a second, Kyle. I'm waiting to see.
There's some Nordic and
Because that's what I was going to say.
they had to do some sleeping and creeping in that area.
They do, and people move.
Can you hear us?
See, I have, some Scottish and Irish ancestry, but there's some Norwegian.
Yeah.
Because Scotland and Norway.
Yeah.
Cheers, somebody down the line, not too far back. was
Okay.
Norwegian, because that shows up.
Well, congratulations
I don't
on
know, I got my wait for Cindy.
running through the meeting
Hold on
quickly
for just a minute.
last month. We'll see if he can break his record.
Oh,
Was it?
7:41.
7:41. You got
Last time.
It was an hour,
Yeah.
an hour and a half, an hour and 41 minutes.
Well, you got them to break the record? Break it.
Going for 5 hours.
Oh.
Buckle in.
There's sharp engines on it. Throw it at you and it could hurt.
It might hurt.
I can hear you, but it's not very clear.
Okay, be quiet too.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to get a piece of tape and try and tape that thing under the TV.
Somebody just pulled in the parking lot, so. So I'd say.
With a bicycle? What,
Let's talk a little later, Carl. I wanna know what happened. Sales.
It doesn't exist.
I know. I mean, I roll around and put that there.
You probably can't tell now, but sometimes there's like just a little footpath that goes down. It's not a problem.
Just, was it going on the other, from sales, going down and just the other side or what?
From,
Where was it from?
yeah, almost right in the intersection. I don't know exactly where on Center or not, but it was, I think depending on what year it was, there was straight down or there was sometimes. So somebody knows more than.
Okay.
She and Chick did certain things.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw her messaging news. I was out there looking at. Oh, interesting. Hi. Oh, this is the. Hospital, this hospital's over this.
You're Abby, correct?
No,
Oh.
I am Kelsey Myers. We
Oh,
applied
right.
for a driveway variance.
Okay.
But I was looking at your agenda notes and it looks like the address was wrong, so I'm a little concerned that my husband put the wrong address down on the application.
564 Echo Valley.
Yeah, it should be 529, if it,
Take a look.
unless it's,
Oh, okay,
Actually-
529.
yeah,
Okay, that's fine. We'll just amend it. When they make a motion.
okay.
what's
That-
what's the address?
It should be
529.
529. The applicant was James Myers. Okay, so-
And it's 13B. Yeah.
5.9.
Yeah.
I believe the application says that.
Yeah, so it's just a clerical error.
Okay. Everybody ready?
Okay, tonight's Oregon Town Board meeting will come to order. And Jennifer, can we do the roll call, please?
Sure. Kate Fladden,
I'm still.
Yeah. She's
she's
muted.
here. Yeah,
Will it mess up?
yeah, she's here. I think she's having trouble unmuting, so,
Right.
okay.
Will it mess things up if she's unmuted the entire time? Will anybody else, like Sharon would have a tough time hearing that,
Shake
right?
your head no, so.
I think it's just, I don't know, I don't know the other end of it, like I can ask her to unmute, but. Okay, Carl,
Here.
Walter, Lori Fitzgerald, here. Arlen Kai
Here.
and Steve Jernigan.
Here.
Thank you.
Item number 3, approval of minutes for the February 13th meeting. Any concerns about that? And without objection, the February 13th minutes are approved. Item number 4, financial report and payment voucher, actually 2 vouchers this time, approval for those. And I do have one question, Jennifer.
Yes.
On the, not the February 27th report, but the
Sure.
March
Yep.
1st.
Yes.
There's a difference between the invoice amount and the amount paid, like 24,000 about.
Right, so here's what happened is, I had all of our bills paid. And so when you do that in the system, I then got a couple, bills today. And then I added them to the schedule. Normally I kind of cut it off and I won't, once I get invoices, I won't pay them. But like Edlinville sent one, EMCS, which is they are engineering working on the Jensen petition. Corn Flesh sent one, and there was another one. So that's why there's the difference between the amount paid and the net invoice amount, is because I added some to this,
Okay,
to this.
okay. Anybody have any questions or comments for Jennifer about the voucher? And I think what we should probably do tonight, because Kate's online, is roll call votes for everything. Otherwise, we're gonna lose her vote because she's muted. So
Your choice.
I think we need to do that, just to be clear. Kate, can you unmute and we're gonna vote on this? So.
The financial report isn't in here because we're having a little bit of tough time for computer system during the audit. It's processing over, but the payment vouchers are in here.
Okay, now that I'm unmuted, I don't hear anybody clear. I can't hear you at all, Carl. And before I unmuted, I could hear Jennifer the best, but now I can't hear her either.
Unmute so we can hear her vote.
Okay,
But she can't hear us.
well, I think
When she's muted, she can't.
Kate, can you hear us now, though, when you're muted? Okay, so what we're gonna do, what Steve suggested, and let's do that, is that we'll get up to the point of the vote for this particular item, and then we'll take the vote here and then ask you to unmute and do your vote. Now, apart from that, you should also do the same thing if you want to get our attention and participate in discussions. We're gonna have to like keep an eye on your box there, on your rectangle. So, flag us down or whatever, in case you want to say something. Okay? Okay, so back to item number 4. A move to approve the payment vouchers for this February 27th and March 1st. All in favor, any discussion first?
No discussion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 You got it.
Item number 5 is public comments. We'll have your agenda item soon.
I'm sure.
Judge Powell,
Yep.
do you want to jump ahead to this item now?
Yeah, I don't know, do we have, Jessica, do we have
Jessica?
public comments or Sharon? Okay.
Okay. Yep, Sharon, no public comment? Okay, so, all right, so anyways, so everyone, and we've been in the same room at a candidates forum, but I don't know that we were formally interviewed, so I'm Carl. Everyone, this is Judge Sherry Powell.
So we're gonna go down to agenda item 10.
Yeah, jumping to
Yeah.
that. So thanks for.
Yeah.
Thank you. for coming up
So is
with
there
it.
a place to sit so they can?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. You can either stand or sit. Yeah,
Alright.
yeah.
Yeah, so after the election last year, I sent an email, to Carl, just offering to come talk to the board or, just answer any questions you have. So I was elected to be the municipal judge for the Village of Oregon and the Township of Oregon. A lot of people don't know that we have a joint board, a joint municipal court. We don't have any cases from the township typically. I don't know when the last case has been sent to us, in part because you don't have a police department. So all of the speeding tickets and whatnot are issued by the county and they go through the county. I don't know if I know at some point somebody had mentioned maybe there was a interest in having some dogs at large tickets issued or something. So those types of things, if you had a ticket issued and your ordinances say it's heard by the judge, I would be the judge that would hear it. So I just thought I'd come and introduce myself. I was elected last election, last April, when Judge Cox retired. My background is I was a lawyer for 30 years for the state of Wisconsin before I retired in November of 21. I have experience as a prosecutor. I did that for about 6 years in Kenosha County right after I got out of law school. Did lots of different criminal cases, juvenile cases, sexual assault, gang, stuff like that. It was a really great experience. And then I worked at the Department of Public Instruction for 15 years as a lawyer, doing all sorts of education law, government law, administrative hearings. I was both a judge and a litigant in employment disputes and education law. And then I went to the Department of Workforce Development and I was an administrative law judge for unemployment compensation hearings for a little over a year. And then I was deputy legal counsel for the agency for 3 or 4 years. And again, did kind of general government stuff, all the things that the Department of Workforce Development covers, which is unemployment, Division of Employment and Training, vocational rehabilitation, equal rights, and workers' comp. And then the last 4 years or so of my career, I was the director of a bureau that was the project management office for the agency. So I have a lot of different experiences, done everything from soups to nuts, it seems like. For a very short period of time, I had a law practice in Stoughton. There was a gentleman that was retiring, and when I went from the DA's office and moved back home, this is where I grew up, I thought, oh, I could have my own practice. That didn't go so well. I was bored. I'm not a person that likes to work by themselves. And so I went to DPI. And I grew up here. My parents, Bob Garble he was on your TORC committee.
Yeah.
So, they live basically where I grew up, same house. I moved back and then I went to Kenosha to work for my first job and I came back and lived in Oregon ever since. So since 97, I moved back and had my own house. So that's my background. The kind of things that we do in municipal court right now are our Village of Oregon tickets. So it's all speeding, that sort of stuff, speeding tickets, disorderly conducts, drunk driving, possession of marijuana, dogs at large, that sort of stuff. They also don't use the court right now for their building inspection type of things. They don't use the court for that. They use an administrative process for those. So I just thought I'd introduce myself, see if you have any questions, if there's anything that you were thinking about, like maybe wanting to use the court, let me know so we can figure out timing wise and how much time it would take. Right now, you guys don't, from my understanding, you don't pay anything for me because I don't do anything for you. It would be and I don't know what the agreement is necessarily between you and the village on how that would get billed back if you did, but the cost would be very minimal if you had me do anything for you.
You may know this already, but so that the town had a constable for decades, forever.
Forever, yeah.
Forever. But then about a year ago, phased out that position and then contracted with the sheriff's department for some part-time coverage. I think just one squad, 4 hours a week or something like that. So not very much. I mean, there probably will never be an avalanche of citations coming your way.
Right,
So it's, right, so it's been, so the town, you know, speeding is probably the biggest issue, the biggest law enforcement issue.
Yeah.
As far as numbers of incidents. But I don't think much of that's gonna continue.
and I mean, it is always an option to withdraw from the joint court, but. I guess I would think long and hard before you do that, because I'm here for you if you decide to change. It's much harder, it's kind of a pain to separate courts out. And then it's a especially harder pain to create another court again. So if it's not costing you anything, just to keep the joint court going
Right.
is probably in the township's interest. Gives you flexibility down the road and it doesn't cost you a thing.
Right.
Right.
Mr. Kai?
Sir.
Just so it's clear as to what it is that might come your way from us.
Mhm.
It's sounding like this is mostly misdemeanors. Or are there serious things that,
No, the only thing that comes to municipal court are forfeitures. So if the penalty is jail or prison, that goes to Dane County. Or, yeah, Township of Oregon's all in Dane County. So it all go to Dane County. What goes to municipal court is just your run-of-the-mill forfeitures. So speeding tickets, first offense drunk driving, ordinances, if you write an ordinance where there's some sort of fine for violating a building code or something like that, that's something that you could potentially use the court for to be the arbitrator, you know, to make those decisions. So it's only that. So it's all the, you know, the minor offenses that affect most people. You know, most
Right.
people at some point in their life are probably gonna have some kind of a ticket. And that's what it is.
Right.
So, and right now, and the other thing you should know, if, so when people get a ticket in the Township of Oregon right now, it's a sheriff's department issues the ticket, that's who's doing the patrol. And it's not probably under your contract, so it goes to Dane County, that's where their speeding tickets go. And Dane County Court then keeps the court fees, and so you're not getting you're not paying anything for it, but you're not getting anything out of it either. And the one thing, when the court fees, when they go to Dane County, are much higher than when they're at the municipal court. So it costs people about $80 a ticket more for it to go to Dane County as opposed to municipal court.
That's good.
But you don't have unless you have a police department, you don't have much of an option.
I would say the only thing I would say that's unusual about municipal judges, their terms are much longer, and I'm trying to think 4 years, yeah. So just like you guys are used to like 2-year terms, so 4 years. So that's why you almost forget you kind of have a municipal judge because it only comes around every 4 years. So that's why, you know, we'll see it on the town. And if we ever did want to, like she was saying, get away, there's a very kind of lengthy process of actually having to like.
If you want to dissolve,
yes,
you basically have to dissolve the court.
Yes,
And there's a whole process you have to
Yeah.
go through, and you can't just say, oh, let's do it by the end of next month.
Yeah.
It just takes.
Right, right.
so you would have to be like, you know, so I don't know, I don't foresee a reason why you would do that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And there's nobody out there calling for us to exit the municipal court either.
No,
I think the only thing that the town would look into is if Dane County would write the tickets to the municipal court so that the town could be beneficial of those
Yeah.
forfeitures to the town.
I actually thought that was part of the contract. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, and that would be the
We
only
talked
thing.
about it.
We did, we talked about running those through the municipal court instead of Dane County
Mhm.
Court, if Dane County would do that for us, so that we could. It would be a way for us to pay for their services too.
right,
Yeah,
but you'd also be paying for my
right,
service.
right, so we'd have to,
So-
right, we'd have to.
So, yeah, so
Cost
if that
benefit.
comes up, just let me know so that we
Yep.
can figure out the schedule. I just left court now. I have juvenile truancy court on the second Tuesday of every month. And I have adult traffic court and municipal court on the first Tuesday of every month. And I have juvenile court following that on the first Tuesday of the month. And then the other, throughout the month, then I have trials if they come up. I
Yeah.
had a trial yesterday and, so that's what it is.
That's
so
good.
you leave here, you'll be back to work.
No, I'm done. I had it already. Right after school gets out, we have truancy court. And I got them, I made sure we didn't have too many so I could make it here.
I was
before
gonna say you
get
got
out.
out early because you were telling me 6:30.
Yeah, I made sure we didn't schedule too many so I could get over here.
Oh, great.
So,
So it was great to
All right.
meet
Well, thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
thanks for having me.
Kate, any questions? For Judge Pollock? No, Kate says no.
All right,
All right, great,
Thanks.
thank you.
So much.
Okay, item number 6, Abby from Milkman. Did you head her off?
I
Or-
told her that unless you guys told me to ask her to be here, I would let her know. Otherwise, I told her she didn't have to appear. So
Okay.
I'm hoping nobody got back to me saying that she had to be here, so I am hoping that nobody wants to.
I looked at the map. It's different than last year. It hardly goes in our township at all. It comes north on Judd Road, and then when it gets to Sun Valley, it turns left and goes towards Paoli. So it doesn't go on Sun Valley Parkway in CC like it did last year.
Yes, sir.
I do have some road and safety concerns. There are 2.5 blind intersections that that are part of the route. Okay, if you look on there, it is Judd Road and Sun Valley Parkway. You're coming off of Judd Road and it is blind, semi-blind in 2 directions. One with a big dip to the east. And all of the trees. That is it's a relatively high speed.
Dead Man's Bend, I call it.
Pardon?
Dead Man's Bend. That's something like that. It's bad.
It's bad.
I need to tell you, because I've done many triathlons at intersections like that. They have police holding traffic, telling the bikers when they can come through. They're all involved in this to make it safe. So it's not like a biker riding by themselves, not being able to see.
Police are somebody there flagging car or slowing cars down and warning the riders. The other one is a little less so, but we've had accidents at it, and that's at Hillcrest and, excuse me, Glenway. Is it Glenway? Anyway, they're going to Lincoln to Hillcrest. That too, the Hillcrest to A is also not a particularly good
That's bad.
intersection. So it'd be needing traffic support, vision support, warnings. And this looks like if they're going to have all 700 riders there, this could be a busier
No.
one
There-
instead of a ride before where it was a. Starting with Judd and Sun Valley Parkway,
Okay.
then coming out of Frenchtown Road to County A, and then Hillcrest to County A.
Can I say something, please? Please, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All of these places will be monitored by the police, by traffic. They're aware of wherever there's a problem, they will slow down the traffic. They'll tell the bikers when they can come. All these areas, Arlen, will be taken care of. They're aware of it.
If they are aware of it, great. If, but just want to make sure that they are aware of it and that they do handle it. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, and there's really nothing for us to approve here. So, right, there, you know, it's gonna happen, so it's our
Yeah.
suggestions that they,
It's a suggestion to them.
that they confirm that they've got coverage at those intersections.
Yep.
Say, you know, safety stuff.
I guess I put discussion and possible approval on the agenda.
It did say that, but, or it does say that, but I don't think you're gonna.
They have use of the roads. You're right. I don't know that. You know, I don't think we have developed yet, which we've talked about, developing a special permit for bike rides in the township, which we just haven't
Right.
done. We probably, I think that's something that your committee could work on very easily
Well, let's,
when you're done with your other 905 assignments.
let's see how it goes.
I think Kate's probably 100% right on the safety coverage at these intersections, because most of the rides like this are
I myself, and yes, they're very,
all the time.
everyone I've been in, they're very well.
Because they don't want to get sued for one thing.
No.
But I think it's a friendly suggestion / reminder, if we just email.
Okay,
Abby.
anything else that you would like me to email her? Just the signage you guys.
Signage
still
would be-
like?
Yeah, that would be interesting,
still
just
want the
to
signage
know
to be
where
put up?
she's gonna put it, but. I don't know, it was Kate or Arlen who was saying that Judd Road is probably the worst out of all these, although
Yeah,
like,
It's very hard
it
to
might
see,
be
to make a turn here.
marginal maybe, but signs in the trouble areas would be a really good thing. Okay, anything else on that one? Item number 7, the fire and EMS reports. I'm gonna do Belleville real quick. The agenda, I think, is on in 317, and that meeting is tonight, which is something we need to talk about. But let's do the other reports first, if there are any. Brooklyn,
Brooklyn, they, basically talked about some of the shared revenue changes they had, which it was hard to understand with the talking about revenue between the fire and the EMS together. They decided to table that for more information. Maintaining, they said the response time has been maintained over the past year, so it's good. We've got a constant number of positions that are filled. We had a little trouble with some of them because of some that aren't residents, and so that getting there is a little bit issue sometime. They spent quite a bit of time talking about there was a former EMS and firefighter that was, I don't know if you knew Kevin George at all. Kevin was on the board, was on their EMS for a long time. I knew the family a little bit. So about the contributions to Kevin's family, and they held a celebration at the fire station there about a week ago. That's fine. They got a lot of positive response from the Evansville tornado because they paid very quickly. They did a nice job. More discussion about their ambulance, which is a new ambulance, which is ready within 12 to 18 months, although there seems to be some discussion about they haven't done anything with their existing ambulance, that they're trying to find a buyer for that. I did ask the chief also about if he's done anything more about looking into a repurposed fire engine, since they do need another engine, and they haven't done anything yet with that.
nothing since was that 2 months ago that you suggested that? At least a month.
At least a couple months, but because with my hip replacement in January, I didn't make the January, but it's probably at least December, so they haven't done anything with that yet, so. And that's about it.
Okay. Kate, do you have anything for Oregon? Nothing?
Sorry.
Oh, you were-
No, I didn't go to the meeting because I was sick.
Oh, okay. All right, then, item number 7A has to do with, particularly Belleville, because their meetings are the same night. They're only quarterly, but they're the same, they're tonight, their meeting is tonight. And they're only, it'd be nice if we could attend somehow. I will say though that our town population in their district is about 30 homes, I think, 60 people. So it's not like thousands of people there. But even given that, it would be nice if we could attend. But I think what that would mean is that we either each quarter shift this meeting to another night, or always shift this meeting, or rotate somebody through there, which is not great because that would mean you'd miss this meeting each quarter. Yes, sir.
I think there's another or that we could designate a delegate, preferably from that area that's being served by the Belleville Fire Department, and have them report to us. I think we have the right to designate a representative, and it doesn't have to be from the board. I think the conflict here of 4 meetings a year would be a bit much.
There's another option. Could we, instead of meeting at 6, could we meet at 5? Because their meetings are at 7. And you could possibly make that meeting if you just shifted this meeting up an hour.
Probably, because right now, I'm the rep.
Right. So you'd have to come here at 5 and then make it there by 7. So someone might have to take over as chair if you moved it up. Either meetings are just a little bit later than they always.
They're a little bit later, but
Yeah, they're a little
if they
bit.
started at 9, that would be great.
That
Because I
would be a
don't want,
little bit like leaving here at 6:30, so you'd have about an
No, I
hour
know,
and a half.
I know, I don't-
before meeting.
okay, we'll say that's an option.
It might be tough with, you know, if you want to get the public comments in there, is 5 o'clock a little tough for
Mhm.
the public to be here.
Yeah, maybe put it towards the end of the agenda.
So I love meetings at
No.
because I can do that, but no, that's a.
Just to speak what was unspoken over the last year and a half. The representative to Brooklyn was offered the Belleville slot, but declined it. So there is precedent for having a community member be a representative on one of those boards, and so that may be the way to go. I do not know any of the people in our part of the district, but we can find out.
Would you like me to look into that? Get a mailing list of who in the town is in the Belleville Fire and EMS district?
I think so.
Okay,
That's
let's do that.
not someone local, someone who actually is in the district, I think. would
Okay.
be-
Who has, really, they've got more skin in the game
There's a.
than any of us do.
Right.
Yes.
I'll get a mailing list of the names of town of Oregon residents that are in the Belleville Fire and EMS
That'd
district.
be great.
Okay.
Let me just, Kate? Does that sound like a decent alternative?
My only question is, when we replaced Mark O'Brien, we said that we wanted our representatives to the fire departments to be a member of the board. And there's a lot of minutes that will validate that.
District, and he declined. So I understand that was part of the discussion, so I think what we're finding is we can't do that. It's just logistically, there's not a great way to do it for Belleville. We could ignore Belleville, but that doesn't seem right either. Well, actually, we've been ignoring Belleville for years, I think. So but I hear you, I totally hear what you're saying. Any thoughts on that?
The only other thing would be switching the night of a board meeting to something other than Tuesday.
Well, I have a hard time with switching just because of 4 of the meetings from Belleville a year, just with other committees that we have going on with.
It would be disruptive.
Brooklyn's on,
I mean,
every 3rd Wednesday, and
is it Plan Commission that's Brooklyn is.
Brooklyn's on every third Wednesday, so that kind of takes that Wednesday out.
Let's try to see who's in that.
I'll get a mailing list for you
Let's
for
try.
next month.
So could I just clarify? When you started talking about this, I thought that we voted. Did we vote only for the Brooklyn Fire Department to have an elected official? Belleville can be a citizen. I just wanted to make that clear, because I thought that the rule was to govern all representatives on these fire commissions. Just my not being clear.
That's what I recollect also.
You were like, but you thought that too.
That all,
That was just across the board. It was to be an elected or representative.
I've seen me.
I'll look back at the minutes, Lori, and just verify how that motion was made.
yeah, I think we can still investigate who's in that district at this point.
And for
And we may
designated-
need to come back
There's-
for,
there's
we may need to
exceptions.
come back
Yeah.
for another vote on. On that previous, whether we need to revise it or not. Anything else on item number 7? And. Would the board be okay in jumping ahead to item 13 and then is it item E that is Kelsey's item?
What page is that in the packet? Keep looking for it, and I end up finding it.
Let's see, it's gonna be after the senior center.
I can't tell, it looks like maybe 48.
It's on page 48. So you're not gonna be able to see 48, it's not very well, because it's covering up, so it looks like it's actually page 42. So if you find 41,
It's a hand.
it's the
printed-
one on the back side of 41.
Yeah, it's hand printed, it stands out.
I get also a lot of overtyped.
Yeah, 41, 41's not over type. 39,
Well, this.
You got to.
okay, yep, what would you
Oh,
like?
you're fine.
Do you want a map of it? I don't have a map in here, but I can pull up a map if you like.
Arlen, has the road and traffic safety committee looked at this?
Yes.
Okay,
Let's see.
Is there an official,
On page.
Okay.
It is discussed
pardon?
in your minutes, isn't it?
I'm sure there are some in there. Which pages are?
Minutes. Minutes for the road, must be in this section.
I think it's 36.
Page
Here it is.
36, yeah.
You find it yet, or?
Yeah. That was discussed and covered in the minutes.
Okay, I think that's item number 8 on page 37.
Yes,
Is that our ordinances say one driveway per residential lot. Period. And then the second thing says that a variance can be granted for an additional driveway that if there is a hardship shown. And right now, the lot, the lot that's 529 is pretty flat. And having a second driveway, there's no hardship that I can see unless, but it's up to the landowner to show why there is a hardship, and it's not, I would like it to be, but that there is a real physical hardship or physical, there's some usually physical hardship that prevents you from using the one driveway that you have.
Arlen, what's an example of that? What,
We had that on Ree Road, we granted a variance for a second driveway. that Marie Road, or wait a minute, it wasn't, it was access off of Murray Road, but it's at the, it's a corner lot and it's extremely hilly.
So safety is,
Mhm.
safety,
Well, it was they wanted a garage, or they had a they were after a garage. And the only place that was available was a flat area at the rear of the lot. They're on a corner lot. The road that is parallel or perpendicular to Marie Road is where their driveway is. So that's the, and so there was no way of getting around the house, up and down, to be having an accessory building. So the case was made that it was a hardship that they were allowed the accessory building for the garage, but the physical layout of the geography of the land, of the lot, was such that they could not put a driveway around the house that's on a severe slope.
Okay.
So there was that's an example of a hardship. So there's many other examples of hardships. Let's see, a hardship is not, I would like.
right,
It makes sense. It's not a hardship. I guess I'm now sitting on the Board of Adjustment for far too many years, and we are hearing the real hardships. And also rejecting the ones that are contractor goof ups. I mean, there's everything from, oops, I accidentally built the house too close to the road. They were made to chop off 6 inches off the house or 2 feet off the house. Because it was, oops, they were asking for forgiveness and not asking for or trying to make it a hardship, and it was not accepted.
did the committee review maps,
Yes,
but not on site necessarily?
one of the members is just living just down the road. And again, was was looking for the hardship that wasn't there.
Okay. Kelsey, do you have anything
So,
to
and
add?
I've gone by the site.
Okay,
Well, I guess I don't know that I can claim a hardship. Our thought process is, can I go?
Yeah, absolutely. When you
It's
go
easier.
zoom in, I think I can try to zoom in.
So we just bought the house in January, and the previous owner had they were using it as a entryway into this section of the lot. And so my husband wanted to store like his trailers back there.
No, where is it located?
Back, so in this section of the lot that's cleared out somewhat. And so he wanted, instead of having to have them, you know, in our driveway and whatnot, he would have them over here. The alternative to that would be taking down, I think it's like 9 or 12 pine trees. We have an outbuilding right here. The alternative, if that's not approved, is that we would have to take out about 9 to 12 pine trees to be able to park the trailers next to that. And that's what we were trying to avoid, was to try and keep it, because the trees are in really good condition. So our thought process was that would be easier because the previous owner had already had like a makeshift road going back there. We just wanted to go about it the proper way.
What were they, he was just jumping the ditch?
He was. So we wanted to go about it the proper way and get like a proper culvert put in there, and the gravel and everything that's needed. So that was our take on it. But again, if that's, I can't claim a hardship, I guess, based on that definition. The alternative would be cutting down those trees. So that's what we were trying to avoid, to keep the aesthetic of the neighborhood. So I don't know if someone wants to come out and see it in person with us to see, yeah, You've already
Sounds
been
like
out
they
there.
already did.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
already did. You wanna make a motion on this?
I'm making a motion that we deny the request for variance.
Is there a second?
For 529 Echo Valley Road, the second driveway.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Kate, any discussion on that?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She,
No discussion.
The ordinance says. The ordinance says one driveway. And if we want to allow more driveways by easy variances, change the law, change the ordinance. Don't try to circle around it with variances.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you're suggesting that we revisit the ordinance.
No, I'm.
I mean, we change it.
If
We
if
could
some-
change it,
You could change it. Don't grant variances
just willy-nilly.
Yeah.
willy-nilly. Change the ordinance or
See-
stick with the ordinance.
Okay, so my thought process is, and I live on a farm and I know about those makeshift driveways. So if there's a makeshift driveway, I'll just say it out loud, you could have just continued using it, you wouldn't have even bothered to come here.
Correct,
And that's what the previous owner did for years,
correct.
right?
So we were trying to go about it the proper way.
We should have.
So that, just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Cause that's what people do.
Well, that's what people do, but also we've had was it on Bellbrook, I think it was. That we had a driveway put in, very bad
Mhm.
tiling, and then
And it's
the
a
highway crew.
safety
The
issue.
highway crew came, or finally, after many orders to the homeowner to not use it or not get rid of this makeshift driveway.
Mhm.
The town crew came in and got rid of the makeshift driveway.
but it seems like there are two things then, two separate things. So tonight's motion to deal with. And then also whether the board at a later date wants to review the details surrounding the existing ordinance. Right, so we can't do both tonight.
Mhm.
So the ordinance itself is not on the agenda. But it seems like it may be worthwhile in revisiting. Because we can't do it tonight. So we have the motion that's on the floor now, and where do we do it, discussion?
And then Lori seconded it, so I think you wanted to do it by roll call,
Yeah,
so
right.
Carl Walzer.
And the wording was to deny.
To deny.
Okay, and so yes to deny.
And Steve Jernigan
No.
and Kate Gladding.
No,
You didn't ask me.
Oh, you seconded it.
Oh, does that mean I have to agree? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, but, okay, I'll
I'm
ask you.
just learning here.
No, I'll ask you. I assumed you were
No, I was
seconding
supposed
that.
to.
Oh, we-
I was going to approve it and say yes.
So wait,
Yes to
we are
deny.
doing it, we are doing it very backwards. So
Okay, so I
no
thought we,
is going to be that they could have it, and yes was going to be.
I
that they
wanted
were
to,
gonna-
I wanted to vote yes, that to deny it.
Okay, thank you.
I was,
And
Yes.
I'm assuming yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Steve-
sorry, and
Steve-
then I will go through the.
Was your no because you're in favor of the second driveway? It is. the
I
word
guess
is-
I would be in favor, I think we have to say, in my mind, we have to say no right now, because that's the way the ordinance is. I would definitely be in favor.
no, you have to say yes to
Yeah.
it.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
don't-
going on up or down for the, go ahead,
I'm just trying to get, because
please.
because the word, that's okay, the wording was for denial.
Yeah.
So it would be, yes, I'm denying it.
Yes, I'm
or No, I want to allow
Okay,
it.
so,
Correct. Yes, I-
so yes is denied. Okay, so can we please start the motions? Could I call roll call again, please?
Absolutely.
And yes is going to be that you deny it. No is going to be that you do not deny it. Okay, so Carl,
Yes, denied.
yes, deny.
Yes,
Lori.
deny.
Yes, deny.
Yes, deny.
Yes.
And Kate, I'm sorry, we're voting again. Yes is.
Yes, deny.
I'm so sorry. Then that is 5-0 to deny.
Yeah, great.
Can I just say that too, Kelsey? So Arlen brought up, like, maybe there's some tweaking to be done
Mhm.
in the ordinance,
Mhm.
which we haven't necessarily had in our short-term schedule,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about it and we'll
Okay.
get it onto
That's
a
something
meeting for, or maybe it's road committee first.
I think that would be that and maybe plan commission.
Yeah, okay.
It is an ordinance that is a planning thing. There was other things too, that it was asking for a field road. Which this is not a field. It was also asking for a very short and undersized culvert. So if there's any follow-up, those are things that need to be had, and it's not a field road. So it'll be a $500 application rather than a $100 application.
Right, I was not trying to imply that the permit is the basis for whatever the changes are. To the ordinance, so I wouldn't use the permit as, their permit as a guide to what the specs are.
That's fine.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure I do.
If you go to the town of Oregon's website, there is at the very bottom where you can sign up to get notices.
Yeah.
When you go home, sign up to get the notices and then sign up specifically for, there's like different committees you can sign up
Yeah.
for. And you'll get noticed when the agendas come out, and this will probably be on one of the agendas, and then you guys can just keep a track of it, yeah, and then they'll talk about it at that time.
Okay.
So, and then maybe at some point, they might ask you even to come in and come back in and talk about it at some
Okay.
point in time.
Right.
But if you can do that, that would be great then.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, yeah,
Yeah, thank you for
yeah.
looking at it.
I think that's what, I think,
We
well,
have to look at things, sometimes
Yes.
don't change for a long time.
Yes.
so.
No, that's okay.
also,
Moved from Belleville, so.
Okay, okay.
Things don't change there.
We'll look at it, so.
Thank
Yeah,
perfect.
Take this out of order so we
Yeah.
don't have a good resident sitting here all night.
Thank you so much.
And don't forget, if you need to switch your voter registration, go to My Vote.
Yes, I already
Okay.
did that.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
We did it right away. Thank you. Yeah, that was like the first thing we did.
It's coming up soon, April.
It is,
2nd,
it is.
so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You guys have a great night.
Thank
Bye.
you. The nicest person we've had.
It happens.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just like 30 more seconds on this same agenda? Well, all I meant was, if there are certain specs for culvert length or whatever, I'm not saying that this particular case should be a guide to shortening the culvert.
No, this should not be, no.
There's something like,
It would be it was pointed out by the engineering troops on the committee that it was too short. It did not, the width that was proposed by the applicant was, the width of the driveway was insufficient. The culverts were too short and undersized, and that were proposed by the applicant.
yeah, and I'm saying, yes, so we're saying the same thing.
Those
Yeah, so
are
I'm just
things.
saying, if we're just looking at, okay, can someone have another driveway? Then under what conditions could someone have another driveway? Then that's all,
Okay, it's the hardship.
right?
And proven hardship in the one on Marie Road is a great example of it. If you look at that lot where it has a little
Yeah,
garage,
yeah,
that's deep, and it's very close to our big culvert
right. Okay,
issue.
I think we're good. Okay, we left off at item 8, I think, for the park report. And 8A has to do with, we talked about a joint board meeting with the remaining members of the park committee. And there seems to be some question as to how many members are still remaining, or how many were vacant.
there's 2 vacant. There's us, and we're all just kind of waiting to see what's, because I think traditionally the first park meeting after winter was probably in March. I want to say, I wasn't here, but I thought that's what I heard say. but we need. I was from Steve, we need some, a little bit of guidance of what type of a, what type of budget was there, what was being paid for,
Right.
what were we doing? I mean,
Right.
again, just being a new member of the board, and almost everybody's leaving, it's like, okay, we're in limbo. I could tell you some places what they need, you know. Some playground equipment that are probably direly shouldn't be used and just have some case, a little bit of tape wrapped around a piece of equipment that's probably torn off by now. So,
So who's left on the committee?
It's Gloria Compton
yeah, yeah.
and why is his name
Stay here.
escaping me? Stephanie, can you help?
Jeff Nelson,
Thank you.
Jeff Nelson.
I'm sorry, thanks, and Jeff Nelson, sorry. And then I think the confusion is if Steve was actually a member of the committee or if he was rather just some type of liaison. I think that we all agreed that we thought that Steve Jernigan was a member of the park committee.
Yes.
And so I think there's some confusion there that he possibly would not be, but we
At some
don't
point-
understand maybe where that confusion.
I-
is coming from.
At some point early in this term, we approved committees and assignments, and you were on the park committee, so there's no question that Steve's on the, I know there's questions somewhere,
Yeah,
but it's not correct.
okay.
Wait, so
Never heard that question.
the members that you're saying, are there Gloria Compton, Jeff Nelson, and,
And Steve Jernigan.
Steve.
oh, and Steve, okay, so there's
As,
no, there's no
as
other,
the representative from the board.
right. And we have 2 vacancies then?
Right, there's always been 5 members on that.
Can I give an update on what I've been doing in the background here? Can you hear me? Okay, so I was on the park committee long before I was on the board. So I consider it my baby too, and I kind of feel bad that it's hasn't been totally rejuvenated. But the biggest problem was we do not have a park plan. The park plan that we have is 40 years old. And because we don't have a park plan, that means we can't get grants for equipment, we can't get grants for trees or anything like that. And so I asked Dave Frankson, who used to be on the park committee, who had a lot to do with getting Town Park established, if he would be willing to help getting us a park plan. And he is more than willing and happy to do it, and I know he'll do a good job. And the other thing is, he's in touch with Steve, so he can get information from Steve. So neither one of them want to be on the committee, but I think they're a great couple guys that could come up with a plan, a park plan. Dave Frankson said he would talk to many different other towns to find out about it. He's good at doing this stuff. And I'm happy that he's in touch with Steve Root. So I kind of think we need the information from them before we can figure out what the plan for the committee will be.
But should we not be trying to fill the 2 vacancies anyway?
We have 2 people that are interested in the vacancies. I don't think they answered the ad, but one was a person that Ro Parker suggested and the other one was someone that Steve knew. So I don't know whether that's necessary now or if we just have the remaining 3 work with Steve and Dave.
I think there are a couple different things. There are 2 different things at this point. Maybe it's 1, but I think it's 2. Because under the park report, we've got A and B, and the first one is just about filling the vacancies. The second one is more about park planning. And you're right, Dave, well, 2 things, I guess. So Dave Frankson is, as you say, willing to help us there. And Tim Janacek, if you remember back when I think the carp seed people were here doing a presentation, there was talk about a park plan at that point, and Tim and Steve Root were gonna work on it. But then Steve Root backed off, for lack of a better term, I guess. But Tim is still interested in working with Dave Frankson. Neither one of them wants to actually be on the committee. So we still need a committee for whatever the committee has been doing over the last years. I think we'll probably get a fairly decent pool of people to choose from. But I don't necessarily think that the regular park committee has to be formally, that Dave Frankson and Tim Janacek have to be formally part of that committee. And I think we could ask them again, but I don't think that they want to. So I think the long-term committee is gonna look like the regular park committee with this shorter term duo or group working on the park plan. That's the way it looks like to me, and obviously there'll be discussion among all those people.
I just gotta insert something here. You know, we have to be very careful when we're forming committees with open meetings law and different things. So I would be sort of, how are you going to work this with this ad hoc sort of committee? Because when they're working on town business, it would be something you would want to agenda, you would want to have notice. So, you know, I have made the suggestion prior that I think that from just a general aspect of this, how are you going to work that committee? I don't think they shouldn't probably work in a vacuum where people aren't involved in that
But
process.
they could, but the meetings themselves, that's what we're concerned about for open meeting law. The meetings themselves could be a combination of the two. It's really like, it's more or less the same group, except, you know, that Dave Frankson.
Subcommittee to that group.
Almost like a subcommittee, yeah, really a subcommittee.
Yeah.
So the meetings, there would really just be one set of meetings, formal meetings, that would have to follow all the rules.
Okay. You just
and
wouldn't want a meeting outside the meeting.
Correct,
That
right.
would be the only thing that you would want to kind of like avoid. You would want some kind of, if they're gonna be a subcommittee, then they're gonna maybe have assignments, but they shouldn't be getting together even as a subcommittee without having it still be agended.
Right, yeah, they could,
I mean, I'm just kind of bringing in that factor of being very open, transparent government into
no,
the,
absolutely, I mean, really, the way that road and traffic safety is doing it now.
right,
You know,
right.
because in the beginning, it wasn't quite.
But a park committee would be like road and traffic, but there's not another subcommittee
Right.
from parks. So I'm a little concerned about like how this would operate.
Well,
I mean, it's not but I'm just suggesting that they would be more, it would be a more, if somebody else wanted to be involved, that they would have
Yeah, I wanted to say that you're reconstituting the committee, but they should be involved in preparing the plan. And to have two people come and swoop in and do the plan and then leave, you know, that seems like an odd arrangement to me.
I don't know that this subcommittee would be doing the plan
Well,
as far as facilitating.
they could
hiring the
facilitate.
I mean, if finding out, maybe getting a grant to pay for the consultant,
Mhm.
maybe, I mean, there's.
when you're saying subcommittee, you're talking about another group of people that you'd still have to have an agenda for. You can't have a subcommittee not be agenda to have a meeting that would be open to the public.
I'm thinking subcommittee more, well, this is contrary to what you're suggesting, or I think. I'm thinking subcommittee as a temporary group.
It would still have to be agenda. It
No, no,
doesn't
no,
matter,
no,
even if it's an
no.
ad hoc, that would be like an ad hoc committee. A subcommittee would be the
Not
equivalent
disagreeing.
of that, yeah.
Not disagreeing with that at all,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that they would not necessarily be around for the life of.
Right,
They wouldn't be around for maybe as long as someone who sticks on the committee for years and years and years.
sure. I guess we just have to clarify what you guys would like in terms of agendas and in terms of like minutes and in terms of notifying the public.
Right, and I'm not suggesting any change to what we normally do.
I guess, but if they're working on this project together and they're not part of the park committee, that creates a void of the public not being
Yeah.
involved.
And the park committee not being involved. I think that's very unwieldy.
I think you just want to bring this all together in some sort of way. And I'm not quite sure how, but you would want to bring it together, I think, in the park committee.
Well, I mean, or we completely separate them. And here's the Parks and Rec committee that does whatever typically the park committee has done, Parks and Rec. And then we do park plan committee, and maybe it's not just the two people, maybe it's a committee of 3 or 5 or whatever.
See, it seems like the plan has to come first. You have to fill the committee and whoever as Kate suggested, help us out with the plan. Before we start getting into, first of all, there has to be a plan. There's, as far as I could see over the last number of months, there really wasn't much of a plan.
I don't think there's a plan at all.
Right,
There's a
so-
I mean, it's
a plan
30
for
years old,
decades.
like
Yeah.
Kate said, it's
Right.
very, very old.
So I think that if it's Parks and Rec or whatever, that would operate at least temporarily as whatever, like say a year ago, the park committee operated as. No, there was no plan then, but people, well, I was gonna say multiple people, but you know, maybe it was just one person who went out around to parks and evaluated what needed to be done. So that would still be I think, the main function of committee would be different, although obviously you'd have to interact with the park committee.
Yeah.
What,
I'm just trying to avoid the subcommittee.
Can I interrupt quickly? So I think when the village had their plan done, they hired a consulting firm. And then the consulting firm brought their plan to their board. So that's a way it can be done with 2 separate groups. You know, and then after the plan was made, then the committee and the board would okay the plan. But also I know with talking to Dave, he said he would be coming up with many, many more ideas with what the park committee could do rather than the little that they were doing in the past.
Maybe CARPC comes into play, if I'm remembering the presentation right, and the way that things played out after it, they offered those services to us, and it was not horribly expensive. I think it was, I don't remember the number, but it was not horribly expensive. But that project path died out. But I think I think CARPC would play a part of this, and I think Dave and whoever, let's just say whoever, and take people out of it. Whoever will be working on the park plan should connect with CARPC and evaluate whether they would offer services that we would want versus if there are other sources too. So I think when I've been talking about like the park plan, I've been assuming that a CARPC would be a player in that.
a consultant that we have. a
Not
consultant.
just us making it up.
No, we can't, I don't think we'd have credibility if some good citizens in the town did a plan. I don't think we'd have credibility for that.
Right.
So if there are people who want to help the committee, help the park committee, is the park board, park committee. I think any good citizens can come and help and advise and participate in meetings. Even though we have our 5 or so park board members that need to say, hey, we need to have this plan, and here's a way of getting it. So I'm not so sure we have to formalize a subcommittee as much as we need to formalize the park committee.
To fill this out.
And then if they are good citizens that want to help them be a resource, fine. But the committee has to make the motion.
But we
Make the motions.
need the committee first.
So would you like to try and, I could reach out to CARPC and I could have them come to a joint meeting, at the joint meeting you want to have with the park, and then the park committee and from the town board could all talk to the CARPC representative at the same time? Would you like something up like that, or would you rather meet with the park committee first?
Let me answer a question with a question. Steve, the existing 3 people, can you essentially review, evaluate the parks over the next couple months without 2 more people?
I'm sure we could, just from the three of us, anybody else would like to come along, Kate would be a valuable person if we could talk her into it, having her experience on the park. Definitely walk the park, see where the needs are. We know where some of the needs are. Steve Root, I hope would hopefully be also willing to come along he's mentioned in the past that he would definitely be would help us to get where we need to be.
Okay. Jennifer, do you think we should aim for May, the regular meeting, or do a special meeting for this?
April, just for the board, April's pretty heavy because you got the election in there, you have the annual meeting in there, you're gonna have a town board meeting in there. So I mean, from a perspective of you guys, it might be a little hard to try and fit another joint meeting in with all those other meetings, so May might be a better chance. I think that the park committee, though, if they would want to meet in April,
Oh, sure.
the three members would be a quorum, so they could meet if they so choose. I don't know if, Steve, you want me to reach out to the committee members for an April, or would you prefer just to wait and do the joint meeting in May?
You know, I would like, it'd be nice to reach out to the other members and meet with them first, and be nice to have two other volunteer members, like, get on the committee to be there also. I don't want to walk in, start with three, and also we're adding people in, and then we're.
I think the two people that would know that it's
Yes.
typically a committee
Yes,
spot.
yeah, so I think that, yeah, they need. I would definitely be all for April. I'm looking at my April calendar, yeah, but
Okay.
I can find time in there someplace.
And I think were they doing it, I thought it was the fourth Monday, so that would be April 22nd.
That would
So
work.
shoot for you just getting together with, if you can, you'd have to be three of you, because it would have to be a quorum, so
Okay,
me or Stephanie can reach out to Gloria and Jeff
yeah,
to see about meeting April 22nd, and then possibly inviting Dave Frankson and Tim Yanacek to that meeting and seeing if they, what they have to contribute to the park plan, and then you guys could talk about it, and then maybe at the April board meeting, you guys could set up a date for a joint meeting, or is that what you're
Let's aim
thinking,
for
Carl?
May. Well, let's think about May.
Yeah, so
Regular
do you want to set the date in April, or do you want to set the date today for a joint meeting in May? It would be,
Okay,
the
so
fourth
we-
Monday would be May 27th.
Do you, okay, so you lost me on a little bit. Do you think it's not a good idea to have part of the regular board meeting in May?
Oh,
Be part of discussing with the park committee?
so you would like the park committee to come to the board meeting on May 14th, is what you're thinking? Oh. Okay,
It's easier to find another date.
would that be in addition with the whole meeting with him on the 22nd of April?
it just
Yes.
makes the board meeting longer, you
Right.
know, so that's why I was thinking that, the park committee members are kind of to the routine that they're meeting on May 27th, so it would be like you guys going to their meeting, but you're asking them to come to your meeting.
Okay, do we have, I'm wondering if this might be a little bit rushed. Do we have a clear agenda as to what if we're gonna have a joint meeting, as to what we'd be talking about?
I think it's more organizational. Although at some point, we need to make a decision on the committee members.
Yes.
And the committee members in the packet, you have what was in the newspaper. See what page is it on? On page 23. So, I put March 21st as the date for the applications to be due. So March 21st is next week, Thursday.
That's just Jess.
So right now, I don't have any applications. I had one application, but it was from someone in the village of Oregon. And unless we change our rules, I think we're only wanting town residents at this point.
Right.
So I guess it's up to you guys. So my thought was March 21st would allow, an April 9th you know, I know April 9th vote by the board on what members would be.
Well, here, we definitely need to get the committee filled out. So we need good citizens to be stepping forward. If we're gonna be having a joint meeting, that to me implies that there's a big policy thing, such as let's get the plan going. But, and that CARPC is a possibility of getting that plan going.
I think the other thing is just that Steve Root has been the only one that's ever done that position. And so I think the remaining committee members are a little lost without him. It's just a really big loss,
It's a big loss.
So I think that the reason for having the board step in would be just to kind of give some direction and figure out what all Steve did that we don't know that he did. And it was hard to write a job description when you don't really know what he all did. And I think a little bit of coming into this would be Ryan and Abel, because Steve Root would work and come in and talk to them directly and getting a little bit of like, what would he ask them to do? And so I think the joint meeting is sort of figuring out the day-to-day type of things, not just the plan, but like what the day-to-day things are that people need to do, and just the board helping the park committee figure that out.
Okay, with that, then it would strike me that possibly a May meeting would be better. First, we gotta get through this month and the election, and April is not a picnic. So,
I don't think anything earlier than May is possible. Other than if the three existing people get together just to.
oh yeah,
That's a separate thing.
they should still be.
Yeah, we,
I think what's up for a decision is whether to piggyback off the existing town board meeting or whether to push it to fourth
They were
Tuesday or whenever the usual park.
Honestly, I mean, I think the fourth Monday came in because you had talked about them meeting before the board meeting, but it's very possible that they might pick a different date,
Oh.
you know, if you know, but right now it was the fourth Monday.
Mhm.
So I guess that's what we're asking. What do you guys
Yeah,
want to do
that's-
for May?
I hate to say it, but that's a national holiday.
Oh.
In May.
Memorial Day,
Oh, it is. Well, okay. That doesn't work.
I would advise against it.
unless you wanna amend it and call it the third Monday.
So you could say, you could,
The
oh,
third,
actually, the fourth Monday is May 27th.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Memorial Day.
Well,
Oh,
Why don't
so
we, why don't we,
you could
The
do
third.
the third Monday, the 20th.
I'm just,
The third Monday.
it's clear that it'll be on the fourth Monday or maybe on the third, that doesn't really
The
difference.
20th would be,
I don't think the fourth has any special meeting other than for some, at some point, somebody wanted it that way.
20th is open for me. Kate, is May 20th open for you? After your call?
can you hear us, Kate?
Okay, we're trying to set the joint meeting with the park committee members that exist and then also the board.
Okay, sorry, I was just coughing and I don't think I can stay much longer, but what I was going to say was, why don't we wait till you have the meeting with the three park committee members and possibly Tim and Dave can come and they can decide maybe an idea what they want to do and what would be on the agenda, rather than deciding this ahead of talking to them. We have a planned time for them to get together. I'm just suggesting we have them meet and then see what they come up with.
Well, so they are gonna meet. Steve's gonna take care of that. one.
Yeah,
So we're just trying to set the date for a joint meeting. People and the board, and it's looking like May 20th might be a decent date. Does that work for you?
you know, I'm gonna sign off from this meeting. I'm not feeling very good, so.
Let's at least tentatively put it as May.
So you're talking about, let's go back for a second. So you suggest also at the 22nd, April 22nd meeting that we invite, which no problem, Dave and Tim as well to that meeting?
I
Is that what that was?
think we have,
Is that what I was hearing?
we have a lot of meetings.
So, yeah, so I think April, it wouldn't be a full board. It would
Just
be
the three of, just, actually, to me, it'd be, that would be the three of us, and they, for whatever background that they have, I know they have much lesser background than the other two. I like to find out for the board, okay, what so far do we know? What have they been doing, any ideas of, you know, little collective minds, any ideas where we wanna go? It'd be nice to have, like I said, we got names available for, if nobody applies for that job, we've got other names available for it. I know, look, I talked to, was very interested in it, and other people said the same thing, so.
And we don't know yet who's gonna apply for it. So we kind of don't, we're kind of a little bit
Exactly, exactly.
until that application period.
I mean, the necessary thing is the three of us, and then if you have other people, great.
Well, I just want to say something.
Please.
I just have a problem. It's a problem. We have a committee and then we have two people that don't want to be on the committee, but they want to do a big job and then run, whatever. And then meanwhile, we're trying to build a new committee and maybe some new people will join who would have the expertise to do this and be full-blooded part of the committee. That's just me. I'm just putting myself in that position. If I got on board with a committee and found out that they'd already decided to do a big job with these subcontractors, I'd kind of think, or whatever we're gonna call it, and say, well, why am I on the committee then? What do you need me for? I mean, I know I don't begin to comprehend how complex it would be to develop this park plan, I would say. But in my little mind, I'm thinking, oh, the committee could look and they could probably do it. They really probably could.
I think that's something that the park committee did that Steve was doing, and he was working really hard at it, was he was having neighborhood park meetings. And those neighborhood park meetings are sort of the beginning of what you're gonna use as a base for a park plan. Because those committees, people came into those committees and said, hey, I want a basketball hoop. Those are the types of things that you're gonna put in as what you potentially would want to see in that park in the future. It might not be tomorrow because the funds aren't there, but these are things that are gonna be the basis. So I think the current committee has that background. They just don't know it. Like they just haven't used it because nobody's really said, how are we going to use it? And I know I don't know how many they did but I don't know if they did all the parks because COVID happened and, you know, it was kind of like that sort of was put on hold. But those were really beneficial and probably this park plan is gonna start to kind of write itself by having those.
And you'll need
resident
all those boots on the ground, all 5, not 2 people that are gonna do this thing and then leave. And by doing that, the new committee will build relationships with the residents and, you know, maybe we're overthinking the need for, I mean, not to say that the expertise of the 2 people is not valuable. I just think we're arguing over how to use it,
I
basically.
like, Laura, I really like what you're saying, and kind of bringing this back to earth for right now and starting from, I like what you're saying.
I mean, you gotta get those other people.
I'm also hearing, get those people, we gotta get 3 of, if there's nobody yet, but we gotta get 5 people. And I'm also hearing we would somehow have to get the neighborhood around the parks informed to have individual listening sessions for each park.
Right, and you
I
can do
have zero, matter of fact, I think that's wonderful. I think that's the best.
because then you're not starting out with a preconceived idea of what that park should be. You're starting at the ground level with the people that actually use the park.
Don't forget about CARPC in this, because
Right.
really, as far as the planning goes, they probably will be the leader. For
We'll
any-
probably have some sort of like.
Yeah, I mean,
format.
that's obviously, I would like to,
What if we thought about it that way, is that number one, we need to fill the
Get
park
those
committee.
people on board.
We need to engage with CARPC or somebody equivalent.
and I need to find out
Then-
about that. I have I don't have a lot.
And find out what Gloria and Jeff are thinking.
That's
about
separate, so
this.
I'm really thinking this should be separate. Park committee. Worked out whatever way it works out, fill the vacancies and works out. Then connect with a CARPC, which I think is probably the most reasonable
Mhm.
option, or some group like that, and then go from there. They're gonna have a project plan. Go from that, and we'll pull in then whoever we need to pull
And
in.
they'll have a schedule.
Yes,
And it, for all we know, they may not be able to do anything until October.
could be.
So let's find out. Can we contact it while it's going on? Contact CARPC and say, hey, what is the process?
The timetable or
I don't
So
know.
I can reach out and I can just say, what is the process if the town would like to engage CARPC to help with a park plan? So not set up a date, just ask them an overview of what that looks like.
I don't remember,
Okay.
I don't remember the name of the CARPC person who was here and presented, but there was discussion during that meeting about this.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's, and it's, again, separate from the park committee itself right now. I think that's probably the next step. And maybe a Dave Frankson, maybe a Tim Janacek are
it
involved then
certainly
too.
can be. It's
But
not,
then
I'm
it's
not
separate.
saying that not, but I feel like, just from my standpoint, the committee should really be a big part of it. They should really have ownership of it. It isn't like, why is it?
And I don't object to that. I think what I was thinking too about like this joint committee idea was that I don't know the people on the remaining people on the committee. I don't know if that was their interest or if their interest was just.
That's
to
what we're
get-
gonna find out.
That's what
I think we
exactly what
should
I mean.
find that out before we go forward with calling in
yeah,
I'm keeping that separate, right?
right now, we're calling in information.
Yeah, to just find out what people would wanna do, what they're
Yeah.
willing to do, what they wanna get help with.
And we need some sort of template, obviously, for a plan as we
Right,
go on, I
right,
mean, not
right.
just, okay, we're gonna.
Yeah,
Cause it seems like they're, like I said, I'm sure Steve did a great job. We're gonna miss Steve horribly. It's so nice to have Kate's expertise. But I know I sat there and was just kind of listening to what was happening, and then there's questions and, yeah, they were short meetings. But,
Well, is your next scheduled meeting,
there's not a scheduled meeting.
would it be in March?
We're looking towards April.
We're like, right now, we're looking at April, so
Okay.
we're looking at that fourth, Monday in April right now.
Okay, well then, have your meeting.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll have some appointees,
and for
At
some,
the April board meeting, possibly.
possibly.
and you know, if we can get a hold of the other two, for some reason, if they can't agree on that day, I can be open to a lot of other times.
Okay.
And probably more than they can. They're not retired.
Steve, are you saying that every day is Saturday in your life?
You wanna take a look at my calendar and you're gonna say, hell it is.
One more thing and then we can move on to the next. But I want to say, in fact checking on this, in order to qualify for a grant or maybe to apply for park grants, the plan has to be in existence and has to be created with the help of something like a CARPC. Isn't that correct?
I have no idea.
I think it,
Or something like, there's a CARPC could be the consultant.
yeah,
So wherever it is, there's some
we'll figure it out. Okay.
planning entity that should be doing. That's recognized.
I think that one of the things that we're tying into this, what happened, how Tim got involved was, there is when someone builds a new house, we charge what's called a park fee or an impact fee. And to do that, you had to have this needs plan, because basically what happened was big builders, big developers were getting kind of hammered. And so they lobbied and said, we don't want this anymore. So this ruling came out that said, if you're going to charge it, you have to prove why you're charging it and how come you're charging it.
That's right.
So what happened to small towns like this, it became overwhelming to say, now we have to hire someone to do this, to collect this fee. And gosh, it's not even worth it. We're not even going to do it anymore.
Right.
So that's why we kind of involved CARPC, because of this needs analysis thing. And Tim got drawn into it because being on the plan commission, it was one thing that you would say, if someone's coming in and building a new house, you'd say, hey, by the way, you're going to have this impact fee due to the town, because we're going to put it towards our ever dwindling park fund, essentially. So I think that that sort of like was sort of what you had said. Then I think Steve was involved in that, and then Steve kind of like walked away, but that was sort of like what became what the park would use for money. Someone would build a house, there would be this $5,500 fee. And then that would go to maintaining parks and new equipment and things like that. So now we're not charging that anymore. That's gotta sort of be kind of like also maybe rolled into maybe what we'd want to talk about when we talk. So there's kind of this separate item in the room. And we might want to look at that as well.
Okay, let's move on from parks to,
Are we doing May 20th then?
let's say tentatively yes.
Okay.
Or we could just say yes and then change it if we need to. Same thing.
And we do that at 6:30?
That's that joint committee with
Yeah.
parks.
Or 6.
I mean, would 6 be, I don't think just, I mean, would you guys rather just do 6 at May 20th?
I think so,
Yeah.
unless somebody knows of a conflict with
No, 6 is,
anybody else.
Okay.
6 is late, 6 is
So
Okay,
your 22nd of April?
late enough to start. I wait at 22nd of April, but
the joint meeting would be then May 20th.
May 20th would be the joint meeting. At 6. Yeah, the 22nd is the one that those of us that are still there are getting together.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, let's move on to item number 9, the clerk report. Lori, you-
Well, there's,
Take that.
on page 24 of the packet, it just put together some thoughts. Trying to keep track of who's coming and how much revenue we're getting. I'm sure we continue to have that unknown of how many punch cards are being. But that's revenue that's long got lost anyway, it's already been spent from. But anyhow, big thing here, last time we met, we talked about extended hours starting it up again in April. I think we already agreed that we're gonna be open on the last weekend in March, but the guys weren't sure, but they're gonna be open. So last weekend in March, then April, every Saturday, 8:30 to 3, assuming there's gonna be a lot of yard cleanup and so on.
Mhm.
Now, the sticking point, this way, the hours are kind of revised here, and I want to preface this by saying, we always said we were gonna play it by ear and just kind of figure out what the demand was. And and another thing that the board should know, we do have help. So when we left last time with the idea that we'd be open till 3 every Saturday, well, Sheldon is very concerned about the cost of this thing. And it all goes back to all the struggle we had about making this decision to close the center. And I remember thinking how great it would be, the ideal, this was actually proposed by Wayne Ace, to have both, to continue to offer that recycling center service. But the issue is, can we afford it? And what's it gonna cost us? So I just want to tell you, Sheldon said to me today, he said, you know what, it's up to the board. I'm just thinking like a businessman such as I am, right? Thinking about what makes sense.
Mhm.
But when it's hot and muggy and horrible and everybody's out of town on a Saturday, that's a lot to give for the guys to stand, down there till 3. So he wanted to roll it back to 8:30 to 1 PM on Saturday, May through September, then go back to the extended hours during the fall. Then, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Next point was hours are subject to change. Wednesday hours are not recommended this time. Any increase in hours should be based on vehicle count. That's the most accurate record we have of how much use there is. And a lot of the vehicles aren't paying anything when you're using brush, but he just feels like, just kind of keep that going. He says 10 vehicles per hour is the recommended minimum before adding hours. And there always was a flow at the torque, like it was real busy in the morning. Then from like 1 until 3, it was pretty dead. And then people would start, we called it the closing rush. They'd start really ramping up after like about 3:45. We were closing at 4:30. So anyway, they're gonna watch that. And And then he just wanted to remind the board that they did increase the price for tires. And they want to just keep monitoring to make sure that we're getting enough for what we do charge for. So that's the state of things. It's really up to the board, I think, about whether to be open more on Saturdays, May through September. And then I know you talked with him. They're always there after 1 o'clock because people come at 5 to 1.
Right.
And sometimes they're there doing stuff. So there is, it's just not official. I was saying, all you have to do is drive by and see if the gates are open, that's about the best that we can tell people. But anyway, that's where it is. And that's.
Well, it'd be better to post to 1 and be open longer than to post to 3 and be wiped out from the
Yeah.
weather at 1 o'clock and have to
Yes.
go home.
Yeah, and we were gonna once we get this, everybody okay with this on the board, we're gonna make some more signs again. So we're gonna have 3 different sets of signs apparently for different times of year. But those signs are not expensive from over in Stoughton from that store there.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
There's a little bit of marketing in how, why are you changing the hours? And really, it's a brush, saying the October to November till 3 and the March, April,
Mhm.
is March till 3 as well?
No, March was.
Just
till
April?
Just April. But as I said, as it goes forward, that he's just trying to
Yeah.
really keep tabs every Saturday, how many people come and talks to people and gets their feedback and, and we always said this was the transitional year, we just tried to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Oh, right, absolutely.
But totally, the brush is huge. It would be like at least half of the vehicles up for that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them, like the metal disposal, those are things we don't charge for. So anyway, that's all. I think I know Jennifer put some stuff together about, because she's very concerned about our keeping up with OSHA required hand washing and
Yes.
access to water. And so there are some quotes in the packet for some of these devices that we really are required by OSHA, right, Jennifer? I mean, we were lax on that for a long, long time.
Get a page numbers on this?
This
So that
this
would
all
be-
makes,
After page 24,
25,
yeah,
24, 25.
you can't really see 25, so look for 24, look for 23. Because 25 is kind of on top. of
And you're
each other.
going all the way to, don't get me up front, I don't know what it is. There's
I can put
23.
it
got
up on the
that.
screen too.
Okay.
Like here's the,
There.
Yeah, you got
That's
it.
good.
Yeah.
That catalog,
Yeah,
website page.
these are common sense, very economical
Yes.
solutions. Question I have is there, since it's having water,
Mhm.
is our little work office heated?
No, it has space heater. No, I take it back. It has a radiator. Has some steam heat, I guess you could say. There's a little portable radiator thing. that they
Okay,
use.
but I mean,
The ice
since
Yeah.
we're only operating 1 day a week,
Yeah,
basically, or less.
yeah.
Is having this going to be able to weather?
Well, I think they can put it inside they've cleaned up and expanded the, sort of like the antechamber, what do we wanna call it, vestibule of the hut.
Mhm.
They've made a vestibule there that they could put these things inside the
Yeah, well,
vestibule.
that's what I mean.
But they haven't seen this, so what I should do between next is run this by them and ask them what they think would work.
Is this well, then that sounds like an action plan of
Yes, right.
see what the troops think
See
and,
what they think they would use and what would.
and if they had, realizing that OSHA, that to make ourselves OSHA compliant, something like this has to happen.
Right,
And also, come back with a recommendation
Yeah, I'll
and,
do-
and see if we have the environmental control that this would not, that this could survive a winter.
I think if it could be kept under cover of that, the vestibule area,
Yeah, well,
because they've got a roof over that, and then it could be out of the weather. And then the heat is just, they turn it on and off, it's not heated all the time. It's just a.
I wonder if there's such a thing as a heated hand wash station, because it's gonna freeze up. If there's no
Oh,
heat 24
oh,
hours a day
oh,
in the winter,
Oh,
it'll
yes,
freeze
oh,
up.
that is very true, yes. I think we have looked into that different times, and it is a problem. It's like the same problem that people have with RVs.
Yeah, sure,
It's the same kind of thing.
sure.
So that would be, those would probably have to be retired. That's why I think one of the things Jennifer has is, isn't it like a refrigerator?
Well, so like, I
There's
mean,
many
I think, you know, you can just carry gallons of water. I mean, so the idea is to have someplace to wash your hands and drinking water. Whatever form we can provide that for the employees, we could. So is it giving them bottles of water that they would carry back and forth and, you know,
It could be that
That-
simple.
it is, so, but what I put in there was possibly a small refrigerator, you know, and that could, you know, just water bottles could sit in there, and then if they have a lunch or something that they would want,
It'd
or,
be nice.
you know, or, you know, a water cooler. Again, that would, you know, give them the drinking water, so you wanna have a hand washing station and drinking water, but, you know, if this hand washing station would freeze, you could still have bottles of water that you could still probably utilize, you just won't leave them in there. for that.
Well, I mean, they do wash their hands with bottled water. That's what they had been doing when they're not using mud puddles.
The vestibule office, whatever that space is, and I can't picture, well, I pictured the interior from a couple of years ago.
No,
so
they,
bad.
you should go
But-
look at it, because they,
Go down,
It's
it's much different.
What is the
they-
heater in there?
they remodeled it using scrap
Oh,
stuff
just-
from the
Okay.
windows that
Okay.
people got out.
Sure.
Yeah, it looks a lot nicer.
Is it a space heater in there? or-
Yeah, it's like a space heater.
Is it sealed enough that, are the walls sealed to the outside or are they insulated at all?
I think so. I mean, it keeps it does do its job when it's really cold. And
Okay.
it's been there forever. You'll have to go and.
Well, here's
Lori, you should have a Disney movie about the torque, like create like a Disney movie about the
Like the Barbie
characters.
movie.
Yes, right, like all the characters and
Yeah.
what they build out of all of the trash and.
here's the path that I'm going down on this, is should we put a heater in there,
well, and then is it capable of,
keeping the heat in?
or is it just going to be a huge
Right.
energy
Right.
out the,
No,
out the
that's a
cracks?
thing to talk with the guys about, you know, like.
Because if it's, because that would solve a lot of problems, actually, and it would be a nice addition. And it
Right,
may not cost all that much,
right,
although you'd need to run it 24/7 in the winter.
yeah,
It's at least above freezing if
Yeah.
nobody's around for
Yeah.
a couple days. But that's probably,
I'll work on that and get back to you.
okay.
And see what they say. Been trying to get them to come down here and join the discussion.
All right, anything else for the torque? Thank you, nothing. And then 10, we took care of. 11, Plan Commission recommendation and report. This one, okay, this one is. I thought it'd be a good idea to have a joint meeting with the Plan Commission and the board. Originally just as a brainstorm, but I got feedback, and so I'm conceding this point. And I think we don't need to worry about it right now, but we should. At some point, the board should discuss. What we may want to talk about with the Plan Commission.
But, and I think, and I outlined the 3 points that we need to be defining a problem.
Right.
Be having alternatives to that. And then what kind of action plan we could be having. And a good part of that's gonna be finding out what other towns are doing with the same problem.
And I think this all feeds into sort of what Jennifer was trying to track down some things from Renee at the county. And really it comes down to funding. You know, in the broad, well, what doesn't come down to funding, but if it comes down to funding sources. At least in my head it does, funding sources and what are available. To what degree does do new homes in the existing plan, what are the possibilities there? So things like that, but that is gonna require some discussion on the board's part.
Yeah, well, we have, and also it'd be interesting as to what the market is actually happening. We have close to 300 potential lots, splits, which the plan commission has said this is quite an adequate supply, but it's just not being tapped. And then we're also finding out that there's a lot of non-growth happening in our neighbors, with our neighbors. So there's a big dynamic to the market as to what growth is. And I see Sharon is on the is on tap. Did you want to add anything from the part of the plan commission? Opinions from the plan commission? Because I'm not so sure we joint meeting with the plan commission. I think we're too soon.
No, and that's what I'm saying is that, you two talked me off the ledge. So no, I totally agree. I think it's too soon. I think the board has to take at least 1 or 2 or 3 steps to get to that point.
Is Sharon wanting to say something?
Oh, you're muted though, Sharon.
Oh, Sharon, you're muted.
Oh,
Sharon, can you
Can't hear
unmute
you.
yourself?
Oh, send her a message.
Is it on our end or her end?
Correct.
Her end. Sharon, can you unmute your
Too bad we can't read lips.
I said no.
Okay, now can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
oops? No, she's.
No. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Sharon, they can hear you. They're
Okay.
chatting in the group saying they can hear you.
Okay, well, my service here is bad, so I haven't been able to unmute all the way along. I don't have anything to add at this time regarding plan commission, and I don't know what the board is expecting from us, I guess. When you say there's problems with the plan commission, I don't know what they are. So I would like to know, I guess, maybe for our next meeting, what the board is expecting from us.
I don't think anyone said that there were problems.
Well, what was Arlen alluding to then?
Oh, not the problem, what I say, that we saw, the plan commission saw that there was one development in the town, and it's not happening. So it's not a problem, but it is that we as a board need to define the financial problem. What is the financial problem of the town? We need to define that before we come to the plan commission to be having a brainstorming session.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
So that's what I think what Carl is also
Yeah, that's,
saying is that we've got work to do before we come to the plan commission.
Okay,
no problem with the plan commission. I guess if you, the problem, I suppose, is that we've got 250 lots that are potential lots, and we don't really know whether there'll ever be actual lots in the future or when. So but that's not a plan commission issue at all. That's a board trying to figure out what to do about it issue.
okay. I just don't see, I know we have these lots available, but I don't see people beating down the door to buy them and build, and I don't know how you correct that.
I don't know either. So anyway, that's, it's really just all a budget issue and all a funding issue, and trying to figure out where to pay attention and what to do to generate as much as we can. But like I said, not a problem with the plan commission at all.
Okay, thank you.
So as far as item 11A, would cancel out that tentative March 19th meeting.
Yes.
All right, anything else on plan commission related on those two items? Number 12, senior center report.
There's not too much to say on that. Jennifer included that there was a very nice article about the agreement that was reached among the municipalities, and it provided a really positive
Page
closure.
34.
Page 34, really positive closure to what had been kind of a contentious, to say the least, discussion at times. And it captured, I think, the thing that I appreciated when Martin came and talked to us, is praising the group, our groups of Village, Oregon, Brooklyn, et cetera, for getting together 40 years ago and building something that was pretty, ended up being kind of a class A senior center compared to comparable places. So there was that. And then I did drag myself to one of the listening sessions that they were having, and that's all available and everything, but the main thing that I think seems to be exciting people about the new senior center is the idea of expanded space for exercise studio, a walking track, a gymnasium, and a stationary room for stationary balance equipment and things like that. And then I noticed now the next phase is, I think this is a separate discussion. So first of all, I remember talking to Rachel Brickner about this and saying, well, that walking track, that's really sounds like a good idea, better than driving to West Town, for people. And she said, yeah, and unfortunately, that might be the first thing we have to cut. But no, but what I'm saying is they're getting a lot of support for that idea. But then there's something about going a little bit bigger and building a community gymnasium as part of that facility. And I'm thinking that's a little bit of a different take, where it would be bigger, open to broader use and so forth. And so they're now starting a new phase of their listening to talk about that community gymnasium idea. So that's all I know about it. And Jennifer put up the ad and the little icon you can click on. I guess you can click on that and you can talk about it. You can put your 2 cents in. So that's all I know about it.
Nice. Thank you. All right, item number 13, road traffic safety committee. We've knocked off one of those already.
We knocked off one of those. We have a number of discussion points in here. But you have the minutes of the meeting that was on February 29th and covered a lot of ground. And the recommendation, and we want to get this out for bid as soon as possible for the wedging work, recommending wedging work on Netherwood Road, plus doing the seal coating on the Trustler Circle and Allen subdivisions, with having an alternative bid, which uses up the $140,000 allocation that we have in the 2024 budget. If we get lucky and we get very wonderful bids, to be also having Pinion Road and Hobby Horse Roads in Raven Hills subdivision as an alternate bid. So that's the first part. Other things that are possible cost, the Public Works has done a yeoman's job of getting rid of the immediate danger collapse on Marie Road. So with the riprap that's been put in there, work on digging up Marie Road and redoing the culvert is possibly into 2025 or even later. So there's going to be some looking at some alternatives to Abel's going to be looking at a lining that's there. We also have to watch out that if we add or reduce the flow diameter, we also have to do a flow analysis as to what's feeding into that culvert, that we're not restricting it. So there's work ahead.
Yep. But it's great that it's not a danger.
It's not in danger, right? The danger has been removed.
That's great.
They found the stone got installed. Wonderful. The hats off to Public Works.
Yeah. Good job.
Looking at the grants, one did not the AGRIP didn't pan out, but we are having two of our members digging into the possibility of the surface transportation grant, which would be 20% our cost, 80% state costs for work on roads. It's due April 5th. We request a board authorization to be applying for the grant. And we have selected the south end of Union Road, which is needing the work. This is not something that you get the grant and happen immediately. It starts fumbling through the number of years. So I believe that this is a 3-year window that we have to take advantage of it. So this is not so I say, I make a motion that the the Town of Oregon Board of Supervisors apply for the surface transportation grant for Union Road.
Before I ask for a second on that, Jennifer, do we even need an approval from the board on this? It's not going for bids, it's just applying for a grant.
I don't know like that you wouldn't or that you would. I guess in this case, I would suspect that, the plan commission is the only really defined committee within our ordinances. So this is like an ad hoc committee. So I think you may want to make a motion and you may want to, since it doesn't have that defined, where it doesn't really have a budget. It's not really, it just works at the whim of the board.
Okay.
It doesn't really have any powers other than that they get together and talk. So
Okay,
Yeah.
I would,
that makes sense.
And you're right, parallel to Plan Commission. Plan Commission has very specific powers
Statutory.
that they can be acting independently of the board.
Right.
So
True. Okay, so with that in mind, I'd be looking for a second to Arlen's motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, I don't think we need to do roll call at this point, Jim,
Okay.
because Kate's disconnected, but all in favor say aye.
I,
We'll say no, okay, motion passes.
Okay, with that, a slight digression, Lori. Supervisor Lori Fitzgerald attended the meeting and actually took minutes of it. Thank you,
yes,
Lori.
and I volunteered to continue to serve in that capacity as my schedule allows. So I'll be happy to help you out,
That would be.
cause there's a lot going on. I don't know how I don't know myself how I would chair a meeting and take minutes. I just think that's a superhuman, and you were doing it, I mean,
But.
but you have, but now your
It's our-
powers can be utilized to other areas.
It's true. That's a very-
I just want to, I didn't know, Arlen, if you saw my email, but Susie LeBron applied to be on the Road and Traffic Safety Committee. Sue LeBron, and she is a town resident, and she actually worked for Dane County. She is an engineer. And I was assuming, because we had talked earlier, that there would be no reason to not have her join the committee. I didn't think there was a number that you would put on that committee.
No.
So if you are okay and the board's okay, I would just tell her the next date, which I didn't look. Did you schedule March 19th, March 14th? I'm sorry?
We have a meeting scheduled this Thursday morning.
Okay.
In dealing with the grant.
So I will reach out to her if you like. I will
Please.
also send the email so that you could also reach out to her, but I sent it to you, but I know you get emails, a lot of emails, and you might have missed it.
I believe I'm
Okay.
sorry, I did.
Okay, and as long as the board is okay, then I will just let her know you're meeting March 14th. That's pretty short notice, so I'm not sure she's gonna make it, but if you then could also reach out to her at some point.
We are constantly delighted at the talents we have within the town that are willing to step forward and help.
Okay.
So
So
let's-
9 AM probably,
9 AM
this Thursday. Okay,
this Thursday.
I'm available.
And the agenda is probably gonna be a little bit short, other than saying we're going to be needing to get the bids. And, or the bids and the grant, I think, are the key things. Let's just, we'll find out if there's something else.
I would, so with that, is the board going to make a motion tonight to go to bid, or are you gonna wait till after you guys have?
No, right now,
after
this is the time, I think we should, if I haven't done it, I would make a motion that we authorize bids for wedging Netherwood Road, seal coating, Trustler and Allen subdivisions, as well as Madison Circle. With an alternate bid for Pinion and Hobby Horse Roads. As an alternate bid.
For the roads. I'll second it.
Okay, just any discussion? I wonder if it should be a mention in the bid about staying within the budget amount.
No, we have the budget amount, so now we gotta get, if the bids come in way over,
Right.
we're coming back to the board.
Okay.
So if it's less than, then even if it's less than, it's still coming back to the board.
That's true.
We want to get it going now.
That's true. Okay, so essentially, your motion is for the approval of the first paragraph of item number 4 in your minutes. I think that's essentially what you're.
Essentially, yes, that's the motion. Paragraph number 1. Under 4.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no, motion passes.
With that bid paperwork, typically we have set aside a date where we open the bids, so as we do that bid paperwork, I am assuming from what you just said, Arlen, you would like that bid paperwork to go out ASAP.
Yes,
Okay, so we have to have some dates that would be along with that bid paperwork. Typically, what comes along with that is a date we open the bids, and then typically this is how we've done it in the past, open the bids on one day, And then we wait and at the next meeting, we award the bids.
Should the committee get you whatever you need?
Well, it's
After the
gonna be the
meeting.
board that has to be there.
No, I don't mean that. Sorry, I'm going back to just,
Sorry.
I'm going back to the bid paperwork. Should the committee get you whatever details you need after the Thursday meeting?
Leslie?
I think we.
Or is there enough detail
There's
already?
enough detail here, I think.
Well, our Abel will have to get me the length, the width, the information on it. I mean, certainly me and Abel could get together, Abel's done this.
He's out this
No,
week.
yeah, so we won't be able to get together, but it would be good once we've gotten that paperwork that someone on the committee reviews that. But the dates would be something that we need to have set, the dates have to go in that paperwork.
Okay,
And the dates have to be you guys, it has to be you guys opening the bid and it has to be you guys awarding the bid. So,
We had, I believe we had last time, there was sort of a road committee meeting that it was at, and it had a couple of board members at it.
you have to have, it has to be a quorum of the board members have to be there to open the bids.
Okay, and a quorum still requires three?
Yeah.
Not a walking quorum of two?
No,
I'm just,
yeah, no, you're right. It has to be three. It has to be, it has to be.
I think it was the full board.
And I think everyone did show up.
Yeah. I think
I
so.
mean, it doesn't.
Oh, you're right. You said we got three. Yeah. So that's fine.
it has, and if you could get that timetable relationship to the board meeting, because the sooner we get this approved, the better.
So that would go back to like, okay, so we're gonna, as we work on this, let's look at some dates then. We're gonna just kind of skip over April then. So if we get this out, are you looking at opening bids, like say, do you want to do it sometime the first part of May, or do you want to do it sometime the last part of April?
I would still go for the last part of April.
Okay, and we've mostly done opening bids, we've done it during the day, because then that's when the contractors are available. And we've typically maybe done it at like a 9 o'clock timetable, because then that's when the contractors and they bring their bids in. So I guess April 30th at,
I can't.
Well, right now.
oh, yeah, Tuesdays are back for you, so how
That's-
about,
That's 7 weeks. I mean, if we can get this out, Abel is out this week, so we are the 12th, so if the plans go out the week of the 18th,
we could probably get it out the week, I mean, I have an election in there, so I got a little bit, so I would say we would be able to we would work on it the week of the 18th. I would like a little bit of set of hands of like the road and traffic, or maybe a member of one of the engineers to just look over our bids, paperwork to do that. So, I mean, I would shoot for the week of the 25th. So giving us some time to draft it and get some time for them to look at it and then send it out the week of March 25th.
and what have we been allowing for time for bidding?
You know, I was trying to think of that. I don't think we have to allow a ton of time, but I think we've allowed like at least 2 to 3 weeks to let
Yes.
them get that done.
If it's the week of the 25th, I'm going there's 25th, 1st, 8th of April. So if we have the bids due somewhere on the 15th.
Yep, so the 9th
15th.
the 9th would be our board meet, the 2nd is the election, the 9th would be our board meeting. Although, you know, we could potentially look at changing that April board meeting, and the annual meeting is the 16th. Sometimes we've done the annual meeting and the board meeting on the same night. That can become a little cumbersome, but it's a possibility. So, you know, just to kind of get that into your schedules. So if you wanted to meet like a 9 AM on the week of the 15th of April, is that what you were thinking? What day?
Would always like to have it sooner, but let's just pick it there. If we had it due on the 15th at 9 o'clock and received it, can we take action at the annual meeting, or is the annual meeting?
No,
Okay,
we could move our board meeting to the night of the 16th. Like I said, it might get a little overwhelming to do both on the same night. It gets a little long.
That'd be a lot.
I mean, you could potentially, you know, you could potentially add a board meeting on before the annual meeting. They've done that before. I don't know if you were ever
Oh,
here for
yes,
for the tractor purchase. That was before an annual meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were involved in that. It was the quick trick.
Well,
the
rather than
quick track.
having, break out another whole meeting, if it's a limited agenda to accepting the bids or approving the bid or rejecting the bid.
Right. It doesn't need it.
Before the annual meeting, that would be wonderful.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to look at how many bids out, and then
Yeah.
the sooner we have the contractor saying, yep, I've got it, and they start focusing their schedule.
I mean, or potentially, if you think that it's enough time, I mean, we could, I mean, I could talk to Abel, but we could potentially look at the board meeting on Monday, the 8th at 9 AM, and then having it approved at the 9th. That just
That'd
doesn't,
be wonderful if it was on the 8th.
if that just gives the commission enough time. That's 2 weeks.
Are you talking about a joint board meeting on the 8th?
No, just, no,
Just the,
Just a short.
just a short 9 AM meeting. All we do is we open the bids and you read them up.
If that's on the,
I wouldn't be able to make that.
Okay,
if it's on the 8th, I think that would be wonderful.
I would need at
Yeah.
least 3 of you. So if
I
that,
think I-
the 9th, the 8th at 9 AM.
Yes,
So why don't we plan that? So why don't we look at the 9th at 9 AM to open bids? And then it would be awarding the bids on the 9th of April.
Okay.
Open the bids on what day?
The Monday, April 8th
Okay, that's.
at 9 AM.
That's really short.
And then
Open the bid.
award the bids at that day. So we just open them up.
I'm talking so smart here, I should be
And then,
checking to make sure.
and you'd award them then, the same day?
No, award them the next night at the board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And then we can go outside, we have put a pinhole in our shoe boxes and we can watch the partial eclipse
On the 8th?
on the 8th.
Oh. Oh, that's good, because otherwise I'd forget about it. I'll just be wondering why. Yeah, that would make it fun. April
You talk to the mover of the planets about making sense or not.
Harlan, do you have any more items? for
We
discussion
have
or
a
approval?
bridge
wait,
inspection, we have a proposal for bridge inspection, yes.
Like how you made a motion to go to bid, Steve Jernigan seconded.
Oh.
Can we finish?
Did we not finish it?
No, I don't think we finished it.
Okay, so this is the motion to go to bid. So you're gonna say, so this was our discussion. All right, no more
Aye.
discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, it's approved.
Approved. 4-0.
Thank you for keeping us on track. Bridge culvert inventory, we have a proposal from Dane County. This would be something that would very likely be in a 2025 budget for continuing inspection of Bellbrook Bridge. It's a $1,300 fee. They're looking at something late in the year. When it comes out late in the year, is that something that we can move to 2025 or?
I'm pretty sure that I put that $1,300 into our budget.
Oh, we do have
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
'cause
so we
that's a-
have that. So we don't, doesn't require a motion.
No, just, I mean, I don't remember who signs the contract. I may have signed the contract in the past, or Abel might have signed the contract in the past, or I might have asked. Let's see, authorized local government official. I think we should approve just that you guys are approving that we are authorized to have the county perform the work. It is something they've done ever since I've been here.
You're seeing some of the other things, there's a question of the highway markings, you got the driveway variance, additional signage, and there's concern on traffic on Echo Valley Road, which is a dead-end road. Interesting discussion, one of the committee members lives there, has some insight into possible issues, but it's also something, it was recommended that this may be more of a neighbor to neighbor type issue, and that we may be facilitate
discussion of it.
having a survey
Yes.
sent to the citizens may be a way to help them.
Get them to think about it.
Get them to be neighbor to neighbor talking about issues.
And I drafted a survey and everything.
Does that need a motion?
I don't think so.
We're just gonna send that, you're just gonna, you want the office to send that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna probably amend a little bit, so what I think,
He's doing.
yeah, we have to take the Dropbox down because you can't put absentee ballots in there and it would be very, that's
Right.
the laws we're under, even though it was very convenient for people, but okay. So I'm just gonna amend how we did it.
Yeah.
We have a supply of envelopes that we included with taxes that are addressed to the town of Oregon. So I think what we would just do is include that self-addressed envelope for them to just mail it back to us, since we don't have that Dropbox option. So we'll just amend a little bit of how the return in.
Is committee suggesting that everybody on Echo Valley gets a survey?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's not that many.
No, it's not very long,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and they're spaced out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was an argument that adding more speed limit signs can't hurt. That was Bob Pulse.
Yeah,
You know.
it can't
It
hurt,
can't hurt.
but will it help?
Well, yeah,
So is it, how many times do you have to say it?
yeah.
Last item? I think it's the last item.
That's the last one you get.
You have the conversations that I put into email discussion, following up on discussion with Jeff Rao, the village engineer. And we have their road projects coming through, so information is that they would like to do our section of South Perry Parkway, which is 150 feet. We own both sides of it. Once they have the road done, that's the only one that would be in bad shape. Unless it's done, and this seems to be the opportunity to do it.
Page 39.
Pardon?
Page 39, I'm sorry, just
There you
want
go.
everyone to follow along with what you're talking
Yeah.
about, Arlen, page 39, 40, and 41.
So they're taking the initiative to do that. And I put the proviso in there, they had sort of offered, and I said, great, can we put it into 2025 budget? He says, yes. Then came the out Union Road, the 950 feet, which we have part of, possibly a third of it. There's gonna have to be a survey done, but they're looking at getting a having that be an alternative bid within their contracts, is that as a part of major work. Again, they offered to say that if this went forward, if we accepted the alternate along with them, that too would be in 2025. I was also discussing with them how they financed the road, their road budget. And you have in here that they do it in that they borrow the money for a 3-year plan. This is all done started 7 years ago. They do it, they've been doing it for 7 years. They only do major work every 3rd year, and they do the sealing, crack filling, and all the other maintenance things the other 2 years. It looked like a plan that we should be looking at as well. So that's informational. Action as far as payment is going to come in on South Perry Parkway and Union Road. I believe is going to have to be, let's see, I shouldn't say that. South Perry Parkway, I think we need to accept their offer for doing that. Is they're definitely doing that. Union Road is an alternate that we can deal with later.
Okay.
But I would make a motion that we accept the village's offer to be including our segment, our 150-foot segment of South Perry Parkway in their construction project for 2024. And that we will be reimbursing them $11,000. They fixed it,
Up to,
not portion of the bid, but fixed it at 11. I think it's very fair for our, to be paid out of our 2025 budget.
Victor, you're a second.
no, I'd like to see the wording of up to 11,000, not reimbursing 11,000, as this says.
Up to,
Yeah.
it's,
Village will share the cost
Oh,
of
up
the
to.
town's portion up to.
Okay, there you go.
Up to 11,000, so I think those words have to be. in there.
That's South Perry Parkway.
yes,
And before, I know there needs to be a second, but just clarification, will they then draft? Is their attorney gonna draft something on this one, or is all we
Yes.
want? Okay, so we're gonna just tell them, hey, you approve it, and then it might come back here for
yes.
signature. Okay,
Right.
okay.
So was yours a second?
I'll second it, under that.
Okay, discussion? Let's go back to the 11,000, whether it is up to or whether it is 11.
Number 3,
That's what I'm looking at. And so Jeff, nope, that was, who wrote this? So okay, the red is Jeff's response. I'm just trying to, that's
The red
your-
is are Jeff's comments.
okay, so he is saying
same thing.
up to 11. Okay, that's fine. Was getting tripped up. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes.
As far as. Do we need to tell them, sure, include us in the alternate, but we'll. Jennifer, do we need that action or do we wait until they come back to us with the alternate? Or we
I
can-
wasn't totally
or it's
following
like
that
we-
alternate.
I guess we're not accepting the alternate, but we approve, do we approve the village pursuing an alternate bid for Union Road in 2024?
I kind
An
of feel
alternate bid, we're not accepting it.
No, I kind of feel that we don't need to do anything.
If we don't need to do anything, then let's not,
I think one more step probably,
right?
without any kind of board.
Well, you could be accepting are we accepting this email conversation between myself and Jeff? Do we need to accept this as a report? Or a report of action and as an action plan, approve it as an action plan?
I guess I'm not really understanding. So they're going to be repaving Union in 2024?
They're going to get an alternate bid for repaving it in 2024.
Oh, okay. So
They-
it's potential that they would then let us know once they get the bid if they're gonna go forward with it. So then we'd have an opportunity to act at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I don't think we need to act on something
Okay,
like that.
but I think the wheels would be moving kind of quickly. Let's just see it when they get, I guess when it takes time for them to get the bid. And the work actually starts, that we will be on a short leash.
Yeah, because
For
it's
acceptance.
hard because they don't tell us what the amount of.
There's not enough.
No, they don't.
Yeah, so I don't
It's-
know what you would be like approving something that would sort of be kind of,
Right.
Mushy.
yeah.
And I say that payment for that would
Absolutely.
be due in 2025 for work done.
The payment, that would also be due in 2025.
I think it would be nice if they could get their engineer to give us an estimate of what the town's cost would be.
Yeah,
I
I'd like
can,
to see that.
I can contact Jeff and say, let us know so that we could take that and take appropriate. Are you going to let Jeff know that we've had the
Yep, approved it, yeah.
11,000?
One more thing, I know you were saying that was probably your last item, but the culvert in bridge inventory, you guys talk about that?
Item
Yeah,
B, yeah.
that's right. We have a new mandate from the state to be documenting, locating all of the culverts and bridges under 20 feet. See, over 6 foot, under 20 foot, that we have a documentation. There is no such inventory. within the state. And so this looks like a prelude to them funding or writing grants around this. So this, looks like a first step. This is something that it was decided that Ryan and Abel are going to do this. We would be reimbursed by the county at $100 a culvert and or short bridge. And that it's due December 31st. So we have long lead time, and that we do it in-house rather than hire a consultant, which you have a proposal here from a Delmar, that this seems to be something that we can be doing in-house
Right.
and not have another engineer
Right.
a little further out of town.
Our engineers have never heard of Delmore, just
Oh, really? They're recommended.
That was so funny.
They're recommended by the council.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're not recommended by, they're recommended by the Towns Association, and I think you'll probably find a nice big advertisement in the Towns Association magazine.
I think
Could
they
be.
bought sandwiches at that meeting.
Okay, there is an interim deadline though for giving
April
somebody an
15th,
answer, right, as how to. Okay,
Can
that's
we,
covered, then
we'll send that,
okay.
okay, that may be on Thursday's agenda too.
Okay, so the
April
town,
15th.
so the town is going to elect to do the
Yeah.
culvert inventory in-house. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, is that it for? You're out of,
One other
you're out of
thing.
agenda items.
What
That
other
was the-
agenda
that was the
items?
last one.
Culvert to Bridge, Crawford.
Well, it's quite a meeting.
Does anybody need a stretch break? I think we're within less than half an hour. Optimistic.
Okay,
I'm okay.
Okay.
if you're out of agenda items, if not, we'll add something to the next one.
That sounds good. Okay, number 14, Public Works reports. A couple of things, I think Jennifer, you're probably the spokesperson
Yeah.
on most of these.
So I'm gonna say, so we have to go to bid for the DNOT salt contract. It comes really quickly and we have to return it relatively quickly. If you can turn to page 60 of your packet. It's going to discuss, so. I did not get the contract yet. So this is very unusual, but it's the way it works. You have to tell them how much salt you want to purchase, but we do not know the price of the salt. That comes later. So it is a state bid that we enter for road salt. So we have to say how much we're absolutely going to take possession of. And then it gives us a little bit that we can have in reserve that if we need it, we can take. So I would like the board to, if they are able to discuss what they think the amount they would like to do. I know that we don't have the contract in front of us right now, but it's going to look very similar to what you're going to see on page 62 and 63. It's pretty much the same contract that it has been. What we will tell them is what we have in storage. And then we will, on page 63, they're asking us what we currently have in storage. Obviously, we had a very mild winter. So, if you turn to page 61, we still have 100 ton that we still have to purchase. That's part of what we agreed to purchase at the beginning of the year. I did talk to Abel, and I wonder if I put his email communication in there. I didn't get that in there, but when I emailed him today, unfortunately on his day off, what he said was, we have room in our shed for 1 or 2 more loads, thinking we can store the rest in the shed at the torque if need be. I will order what is remaining, get delivered, see where we are, and then we could cut back 80 to 100 ton. If we cut back 100 ton, how much would be the total contract? So last year we did 350 ton. If we cut back 100 ton, it would be 240. So again, that's on page 63. And then 20% can be in your reserve, so if we cut that back to 250 tons, that would give us 50 in our reserve. So, and we can hold off and we could wait, but
What's that, is there a deadline for?
there will be, so like last year, it's no later than March 27th. So I get it, and it's like due 2 weeks later. So that's why they send this email and they say, please talk to your board, get an approval for what you want, because it needs to go back to us relatively quickly, because they're going to bid. So the earlier they bid, that's kind of how it works. So I know we won't have a board meeting again before March 27th date, so I don't know if there's any reason why. Yeah, you could do it tonight.
Yeah, what is recommended? What do Ayla and Ryan recommend?
Abel said, if we cut back 100 ton, and then I responded to it, it would be 250 that we would.
And he's basing that on the 100 ton that we haven't received yet from last year or ordered yet from last year.
Right,
Okay, so we're still gonna.
I think we
net
just
out
have, we have an abundance right now that we have such an overage that, this is always really tough. This is one of the toughest things you have to do, because you're predicting what winter weather is gonna look like next year. And how much.
Potentially.
So,
Is our risk, if we were to order too little and it's the middle of winter and it's been a horrible winter, that there isn't any salt available?
you just, sometimes
Or
that
prices.
has happened one time since I've been here, where you kind of have to go out on, like, quote, the black market and find it. The problem only gets is that it just get really expensive, so you lock in at a certain price.
Okay.
And then just like anything, then when you go and you need it and it's at a premium, you might pay a little bit more. So, but we have to also fit it in. That's our problem, is our storage space that we just don't have.
Okay.
We just don't have a ton. So typically what the guys will do sometimes to kind of like also make it go a little bit longer, but sometimes they say this isn't good, but they'll add like sand in it. And, to tend to make that product last a little bit
So what,
longer. Call Abel on the phone if you really want me to.
No, I'm-
Okay.
So what action do we need?
You just need to tell me how many tons you want to order for next year.
yeah, so I'll move to order 250 ton. On
Mm-hmm.
is it an existing contract?
It will be the 2024, 2025.
Wisconsin DOT road salt contract.
Mhm.
What's the second? Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. When you're ready, Jennifer, next one is adding onto the storage room in the shed.
I don't have any quotes for that. I think
Oh.
that's what you guys were looking for last time. I have no written quotes yet. for
Oh,
that.
okay. Now, is this in lieu of moving stuff to next door? Or is
So-
this something else?
So that room right there held all of our storage
Right,
stuff.
right.
So we need someplace to put that stuff if that's going to become the guy's workspace.
Right.
So that's where we're in limbo right now.
Okay, so.
We're waiting for numbers.
I think that's what you said last meeting, that you would like to see quotes.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything yet.
Because I think it was was it hefty that it? That it
He
said,
gave like
oh,
a verbal
like 50.
quote.
Yeah, right, so we don't have that yet. Okay, so we can move that to next time. But can I? The whole thing with Towns Association and that one statute about. Can't lease a building, and they're interpreting building as even like a storage unit. Is this related to that? Like, if we didn't build that storage room out. That would be an option, at least temporarily.
Would you like to, I guess that's, whatever you guys want to do.
No, I'm just asking, I know, I'm really not.
I didn't interpret that in that when I put that in the, I guess. I hadn't been thinking of that. I thought we were thinking more of going the storage.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we are,
Yeah,
but if it comes down to crunch time and we still don't have anything there, does that become an option?
at some point when Abel wants his trailer back, we'll have to
Well, that's what-
figure.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking, because
Yeah.
there was, a month ago, there was a lot of, or not even a month, there was discussion of him wanting a trailer back.
eventually he'll want his trailer back, so we'll have to figure out where we're gonna put those boxes.
Yeah.
Now, we can put him back in there if he wants his trailer back to,
Right,
there's no reason why we can't store them back in there.
right.
It's just,
I really think the Towns Association is reading it wrong. I do. There's nothing that says anything other than buildings. The word building, this is a long, don't need to go into it, but I think if it becomes necessary to have another option, I would maybe be tempted to have, the town attorney take a look at it and say, okay, yeah, you can totally do it.
Okay.
So, but that's down the road.
so would you
We're
like
reading
to
it.
get quotes for that, for the next meeting,
For that?
for
or
the storage unit,
Storage unit, yeah,
Yeah.
if we can, because that's what.
the April meeting?
Yeah, I think it may have been Kate that just wanted, or maybe multiple people who just wanted concrete numbers.
Okay.
Thanks. When you're ready, the next one is the salt shed. garage
Okay,
door.
so Abel put in there, that is on page 64. So we have had a lot of problems with that door, the salt door. And in fact, we had an inspection and I don't know how that went. I asked Abel to make sure he called her, let her know that door didn't work. So they obviously, because salt is, very corrosive to the environment. They're very particular about how you store your salt. There can be no holes, there can be no things. Well, we have this garage door that won't shut, so it's obviously a big hole. They need to get a completely new unit and they're estimating that's gonna cost $2,500. So when things like this happen, I just paid like $10,000 tonight to like a repair on one of the pieces of, one of the trucks. These are all these expenses that kind of tend to add up over time and, you might be pulling from reserves when you have to do these expenses, which is why this is tending to get tough and getting tough on our budget, getting tough on our levy limits. These are the types of things that are happening that, these are failing and it's, 2,500 is kind of an expensive fix, so. But we're waiting for a new unit, so. Yeah, so there's no real action that needs to be taken on it. It's just an awareness.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show everyone on the excavator usage and the reciprocity. So there was a lot of big talk. We share this kind of large piece of excavator equipment. There's always been like some kind of whether or not we should buy into it or not. The board did buy into it, and these are just the town of Dunn keeps track of it. The town of Dunn kind of maintains that they keep ownership. And this is all just them letting us know who uses it and when and what maintenance has been taken on it. The other thing that they keep track of is we share manpower between the other townships. So on page, well, it's kind of covered up and I apologize with that. Really not great. So 65, 67, it's like page 69, you'll see this reciprocity and it just kind of, we don't really do anything with it. It's just a way of keeping track of who's working where and why. And the town of Dunn keeps track of it. I don't keep track of it here. And the next one was the skid steer trailer. There are no quotes for a skid steer trailer. I think that oh wait, no, he did say trailers I looked at cost between 10 and 15. He's put some pictures, which obviously are not very well. It's just the trailer's undersized for what they're hauling. We didn't really budget for that, unfortunately, for 2024, so
Right.
it would be something where we would want to talk about how you were gonna wanna pay for something of that.
I mean, it's undersized, but it's also dangerous because the weight's in the wrong place. To me, that's the big issue. I think it's pretty critical. I mean, we don't wanna,
Where does this fit?
We've been trying to get a sort of a capital plan for the equipment as well. Where are we sitting with that?
Kate had wanted to have an item on the agenda, which is on here for under board communication. But nothing is started on. She's done some research, but nothing's started on.
Okay, it's in process.
I think the capital equipment is pretty, it's kind of already done, really, because I have a list of all of our equipment that goes to our insurance. So with the date that we, that the equipment is. And I think Able has taken that and sort of kind of like done already. So I think it exists. It's just not in your packet tonight, that kind of, in terms of capital equipment. I think they were surprised because they got the new Bobcat or whatever, tracks. I'm not saying the right words in the piece of equipment.
The skid steer.
Thank you. And I think it ended up being larger than what they knew the trailer could handle. So this is kind of like, oh, yes,
Oops.
yes. So it's kind of like we didn't expect it. So at the time, we should have probably budgeted when we were getting the new skid steer that we also needed a new tractor. This is something that just sort of.
Could happen.
Yeah, so I mean,
There's
you
gonna be
know,
some value in the old one. If we, I don't, either do we keep it and use it for something else, or we sell it and pull it a little bit.
right. I mean, you know, do we have 10 grand that you could probably spend? Probably that could, you know, would come out of some kind of reserve at some point, or do you plan that into a loan? Because it is a capital equipment that's really what those loans are kind of hopefully going to be intended for, so that we have money for operating.
Right.
So it's kind of up to the board how they want to handle something like that.
Is he still planning to get more detailed quotes?
I
Or
don't
do we get-
know.
Is it what, that's what we get, 10 to 15?
When do we need to approve something? For,
Because
we
it
don't-
depends on how you want to approve it. You could approve something tonight if you're gonna take it out of reserves, or you could, you know, want to borrow for it. I guess it's not a huge amount to borrow for it.
If it weren't as, I still think it's a safety issue. Once they're on the road, I think it's a safety issue, and that means other people are on the road too around them.
Right.
Which would be very bad, that we already know about it. I'd be tempted to. I mean, the tough part is the 10 to 15,000, that's kind of a big range, and I don't know what that means exactly. Sure, I don't know.
what, can we not ask for having a definite quote for replacement?
Okay, so.
And trade in or trade
We
in?
can, it just would put the decision
Take
out of
time.
month.
Yeah.
So that's why if we were just,
the-
oh, we need a nicer trailer, then I wouldn't care so much about I wouldn't care with any urgency, but I can have a little urgency behind this.
Yeah,
I'm not quite
they got
sure.
a hall that's around all summer.
Is this something that they're hauling out all the time?
I don't know. You're asking.
It says here in this
sorry?
memo,
I don't know. I was grumbling because that was like, I don't know. I don't
and
know.
it says,
Okay,
in hauling the mower with skid steer does not allow us to load and haul properly. That's hauling the mower around, so I think they're gonna be using it a lot.
Starts.
Well, the trailer for the mower, but the skid steer doesn't do the mower.
I know,
The skid steer was primarily, it had a
it keeps getting,
big job. One of its big jobs was loading the salt,
right.
and the salt season is now done. So I'm not so sure I see the urgency for,
Yeah, they
So-
can't haul the mower with the skid steer. It says.
Must use
mower
it- they
and
must-
the skid
they
steer.
must use
With
them
it.
both or something.
It says hauling the mower with skid steer does not allow us to load and haul properly.
We also don't know when it's gonna be delivered. If we approve it. So how about? We authorize Public Works to be pursuing. What it's gonna take to,
Oh, go ahead.
well, to get a new trailer, what kind of trade-in? That would be including a trade-in possibly?
Yeah, let's not even act on it. Let's, can we get, Jennifer, could you be so kind as to have Abel get more information and try to get as specific as possible,
Yeah.
include a net, if he's gonna sell the
Sure.
existing trailer?
Sure.
A net amount?
Yeah. Yep.
And then we can. And maybe even like, an opinion from him on how safe it is to haul. Oh, it seems not safe to me,
I
It
know,
makes it pretty clear, it's not.
yeah.
and this might be another one of those things we sell on that Wisconsin surplus auction, and we seem to kind of bang on a couple of the
That's
things
true.
we sold on there, so.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, so we'll pick this one up. Want to get more information?
So I will reach out to Abel and just tell him when he gets back from vacation though, just to get some more information. And I'll put it back on the agenda for April.
Yeah, thank you.
And then the next one was Abel's request to put on the agenda, that the office that's,
Okay. So I've been meeting with them, not only for the office, but trying to get, you know, a little more global as to what their other needs are as well. And when he comes back, I think we'll be continuing that discussion. But it would be good to be, we should be getting that work authorized and done as soon as possible. They're in a pretty physically deplorable
Right.
shape
It's
there.
not healthy. It's not a healthy
It's not-
environment at all.
It's not a healthy environment, and it'd be best that we have this fully functioning well before weather hits again.
True. And that'll be an interesting finance, well, then we'll have to finance it somehow. You know,
And as part of the discussion, I'm trying to get sort of an inventory of just, you know, what it is that the town has. And that they're and the Public Works is responsible for. We'll see if that has any impact into the future.
okay, would, the scope of that project, I assume would exceed 25,000, so we'd have to go to bid. Although I don't know.
I don't,
exactly.
no.
I'm not sure, because it would be like one individual contractor, and I don't know. Like if the door part, that's the only thing I don't know how much that would cost.
Okay.
If that one individual project,
The door itself, I think, would be less than
less than 25,000?
would be less than 25,000, and if the desk.
And that doesn't count. The things we purchase, like the desks or flooring or
Not part of the project.
painting, right?
Okay, okay,
We will have an incredible inflationary spike if that door costs more than 25.
okay, all right, good to know. So I agree with you on moving as quickly as possible.
Yep.
I really, well, okay, now, it doesn't matter because we really approved it in our hearts. A year ago, whenever we approved that one, we kind of thought we were approving it. So.
Then we'll try and get something for.
Yeah, they deserve something.
So would you like to move forward with, budget coming into thing? How would you like to move forward with like the financing aspect of, what needs to happen? Do you want to just talk about that at like a work session? You want to talk about that at the next board meeting? How would you like to talk about like the budget aspect of?
Well, I'd say
The
we would
project
be
before.
wanting to have recommendations for handling that.
We may have multiple things to bundle into if we do a loan.
Yes,
Right. So would you like to talk about that? Like often we do budget work sessions and those
Right.
come in like later in fall. But because you want to move this ahead, and honestly, we're almost probably to fall. I mean, before you blink your eyes, it's gonna be
Right.
fall.
I think a separate work session would be good, earlier than the usual budget work sessions. And I really think we should do that almost regularly, not every month, but every two more times a year.
Sure.
Regular budget session, and then 2 more times where we realize the budget didn't match up with reality and we need to do something else.
Okay. So we'll talk about that.
After-
Talk about that, like, do you want to we've set a lot of other dates here, you want to just kind of push that off, or do you want to set out like a budget work session date? We could do it, if we want to stay longer on that May 9th, I could add it to we could talk about it at that time, or that May.
We're not. Well, we don't know if Kate will be there, I guess, so.
I'm sorry, April 8th at 9 AM. Oh, no, Steve's not gonna be there. Okay, never mind. We can talk, you guys.
Let's
can
figure it
decide.
out.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Not
that
this
later.
minute, because it's. Everybody's burned out.
For 15, oh, go ahead, Carl.
Are you all set with your anything else on the office, on the,
No, I was just gonna mention the.
oh, 15, here's your building inspection report, if you wanna talk to that one.
So no, I just wanted to say they're going to, licensing, it's an online licensing platform and really nothing more to say about that.
Okay. Thank you. And 16, board communication, future agenda items. A was so this is the capital improvement plan that Kate wanted to have on the agenda. We can talk about that some more future time.
You have the. Okay. On page 80,
What a terrible job I did at numbering these pages.
the
Jeez.
numbering didn't work out too good.
Looks nice on.
Go back to
The
school.
the major roadwork budget versus actual expenses.
Yeah, I put that together for you like that.
I thank you very much for doing that.
You're welcome.
That's there and but that does bring to. Well, one of the things that was heavily discussed at. The Road and Safety Committee was what should an average
Mhm.
annual budget be? And the recommendation that was coming from there for the size of the town, for the length of roads that we have. That at today's dollars, it should be around 250,000 plus the possibility of a contingency road explode, something. Happens in there, but that was a recommendation. So as we work into our budget analysis as to how to do it. And that was also very appreciative of the discussion with Jeff Rao as to, well, how did the village do it since we have close to the same road amount of roads that they have.
Oh, okay, I could see that. Yeah, that's something to talk about.
So this is,
Budget.
that
That's a
is,
budget item.
this would be a big budget item to be. And this is recommended by the Road and Safety Committee
No, here's,
and the engineers.
I think that's a good thing. Overall, I don't want us to feel bad that we have to spend money. We're not buying anything frivolous. We're trying to get caught up. We're trying to make sure things are safe and working and valuable to the residents. And that's costs money. It costs money all across the board. And we're still coming out of a period of crazy inflation. The costs have not gone down all that much in certain areas. So it's not, we have to spend money, period.
No,
We just have to spend money. And Jennifer, at some point, taxes are gonna have to creep up a little bit, I think.
well, and that's where I think having, if we sit down as a board, and I was recommend that we have that brainstorming session. And not necessarily have it as an open, as a part of a public board meeting, but as a separate public noticed meeting, that we have a brainstorming session on, let's identify the problem. Let's see where the future is. We don't know what the redistricting is going to do to the temperament of the legislature, since the legislature and the previous governor raised all kinds of hell with the levy limits.
Right.
And for instance, we got the 140,000 that we have this year. That was revenue share from the state. Son of a gun, that's about the same budget that we have available for roads. So I mean, another stroke of the pen. How many times are we going to be better off working the system?
I do think there's a good discussion to be.
Yeah, so that's where
Right.
brainstorming session is going to be, I think, very valuable and help us get direction.
Okay, let's see, how can we tackle this? I don't know what 16B necessarily means.
Oh, you and I had a discussion and it was just sort of like talking about what you guys have already talked about, which is, financing some of, like, are we gonna be financing, this project, this year? Or what are we gonna roll into it? I think that Arlen, I think that was what I was trying to say too before, is that we tend to make a big loan like the village does, and then we fund it over 3 years and then we take it out again. So it'd be just talking about that and what priorities are going to be on there, but I think it's a long night and
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we have.
No, I think in
time.
one of these-
Brainstorming session is basically what you were.
Exactly, yeah.
As how to do that.
Right.
Right.
And what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I think we have to talk about that. We have to move in that direction. Okay, so 16C is discussion about the AV equipment upgrades, which would be kind of proved by Kate and by Sharon online today that we need something. One of the things I think will make a big difference is the microphones at each place. I think that'll be huge. And there too.
And the podium.
I think that we have had, Sharon's attended online. I think we've had enough interest in doing it. So that might be worth spending the money. I mean,
And the price tag was not that much. It was less than I thought. But I'm sitting here not remember. It was around 30,000, I think. And that included the monitor that I think is maybe, I'm not entirely sold on the big screen down that way. But I don't know, I also don't know what part of the total cost that was either. It may not be that much. So anyway, I think that's something we should, I can get back to the guy at audio, shoot, I can't remember the name.
audio contract.
Audio contract. Sorry. And get confirmation, because the quotes that he had given were good for 60 days or 90 days, and it's well past that, so I'll ask him to redo the quote. Ask him to break out the monitor, at least to let us know this, what the cost for just that piece is. And then I'll bring it back next time. Because I think we need it. There was some testing. You and Kate did, you and Stephanie did, and it worked okay during a plan commission meeting. But it just doesn't seem to work as well as it should. I'm worried that it's affecting the archived video files too.
Yes.
Because I've tried a couple times in different meetings to go back
They're
and
not
listen.
very.
It's very
clear.
hard to pick up what's going
Yeah.
on. So-
Like what we put on YouTube, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to listen. I don't know, do you listen to an audio recording only, or do you? If you have to go back.
Both, I don't, yeah.
So it's anyway, I think there's room for improvement, and it doesn't seem to be that expensive,
We would probably have to, again, find a funding source for that as well,
right?
Yes.
given our ARPA funds are.
Right.
um,
Yeah, I think originally we thought it was gonna fit into ARPA funds.
Yeah.
16D, update on the town hall office model. It's very nice.
Yes, it's very nice. I was kind of filling, Carlin, there's just, obviously, you can tell there's just some things that still need to be done. So just a laundry list of things. We're hoping at least a temporary, if they can't get the countertop, at least something temporary, because March 19th will start in-person absentee voting. So, hopefully that will all be done. So,
Very close.
Do we know when the door and the window are coming?
don't know. Haven't been given a date.
Okay.
Do you know how to drop the hammer? No, I'm kidding.
Anything else on that, Jennifer?
No, looks really nice. We love working in it. It's great.
So much better.
Yeah, so much better. And I don't even know how you could have worked in the other one. I mean, I really want to be honest, that was kitchen cupboards. That was not office furniture that we were working
Right.
in. It
Oh.
was meant for,
Oh, really?
yeah,
See
that
that?
was it was originally down the street, there was a cabinet maker and that's who put it in. So, it's now.
Getting
close to the
end.
We are very close to the end. We'll wait for it. They were ugly kitchen cupboards too. I mean,
Well, I might as well. I mean, I thought it would, I can wait till we're done.
that's
You
so
know,
close.
why not?
Carl, something that I was thinking about too is like when I had sent the email about like having a capital outlay loan for some of these
Yes.
things. Would that be something like that, the committee that we had, like you, me, Arlen, we could talk about, like, and get together and do that?
Okay, so what I said before about how we should meet periodically.
Yeah.
To review budget and expenses and whether we need to finance something, that's what I was thinking when you
Okay.
said that, that's what I said back.
Okay,
I don't know what I said, something like, it could go even farther,
Yeah.
or that's what I was thinking at the time, was that we should just make this regular. And cover things like that.
okay. That's
Because
what I
we
was
have-
hoping.
I think it's so tempting to say, oh, we made our budget. But then stuff happens and there's no way you can stick with the budget to keep. Especially if you got, services and safety issues and all these things that come out of the blue almost. The budget's just not gonna stick throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to say, okay. How critical is it to do this now?
Yeah,
And that's really the question, and if there's stuff that's critical. Then I don't think we have much of a choice.
and I think if we plan it out, then we can also say like, hey, like this is gonna wait, or this is when we're gonna do it, which
Yes.
would be very helpful. And that can ebb and flow. Like if you get to that point, you're like, oh, wait, we really don't need it. We can ebb and flow to something that then was
Yes,
longer term, but then we push it to be a shorter term kind of thing. It just hasn't been on paper and on written down,
right,
but I would like to try to get to.
right, so I think we could cover it in, if we,
Okay,
have whatever the next meeting when we talked about. Something, whether we're gonna wrap that into another. Expenses that need to be wrapped into a loan.
yeah,
We can talk about the whole thing.
okay, awesome.
Okay. Last couple minutes, I think.
So we're not gonna do the Tuesday joint. Oh,
Let me just jump to the 16E for a second. We've got a meeting tomorrow with, Sharon, I think is her name from the extension, and we're gonna, no, we includes, Stephanie, Jennifer, me, Tim Yanacek. And this is the vision planning group. And so we're gonna, I think we have to review an agreement with her, and she costs a little bit of money. And then, she also has a timeline and a plan that we can adjust based on what our needs are. So I think I may have shared that before in a previous meeting. I'm not totally sure about that. But if I didn't, I will get you each a copy of she sent one already that's sort of a catch-all. I can send you that. And then once we come out of the meeting tomorrow, and I'm assuming she's gonna update the document, I'll send it around to. Or send it to Jennifer probably for distribution. Would be more appropriate, I suppose. So that's it for that. Future meeting dates, we're gonna strike the March 19th meeting idea. And then Jennifer, you've got your election. Spring election, the town board meeting, the annual meeting then is on the 16th. And that's a totally different format than our usual board meetings. I believe Lori and Arlen will be sworn in again, right?
Yeah. My daughter.
This Thursday.
No,
Hi guys, Tuesday, April 9th. Okay, how about Tuesday or Monday? I'm gonna add to that schedule though, is Monday, April 8th is the, that 9 AM
The bids.
bids, yep, so.
Okay.
And then, to that date would be not a joint meeting, but the April 22nd potentially for a park meeting. And then May 20th for potential joint. I can type that all up and send it to everyone.
that'd be awesome. We got that. We're so close.
And I don't know if the park, or the plan commission rescheduled their April meeting or not yet. Probably not. You'll probably do that next week.
If there's business or not,
Yeah, I think that's what you're
Do
gonna
we have
talk
a-
about.
much on the agenda at all.
Laura Wilmot's.
What?
Laura Wilmot is the only thing you have on your agenda.
Okay, should have settled. Okay. Anything else on that agenda? Any other things? No. Do you want to talk to the assessor report?
I sent it out to you guys. The assessor made an error on the calculation, so we have to reimburse him for the error. And then it comes back because everyone's already been paid. So then it has to come back to us. So we are just short for a time period till it comes back to us next year. So that's in there where it's a rescinded thing. So
And that's the total owed back to them. Most of it's the school and
yes, but we pay it, not Dandy, I know, but then it comes back to us. So like technically, you know, when you're budgeting, you could budget like a small amount, like as that, a budget, like an assessor error kind of budget sort of line item for things like this that happen. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's
No.
not,
And I think what was this, maybe $1,600, it wasn't like a
it wasn't much.
large amount, 1,200.
That's $12.88.50.
Yeah. And you can see on there, yeah, you can see what portion of it, 743 out of that was the school, 304, so.
Clerk's report.
So, I just wanted to share, we finished the audit, we're just waiting for the results, we worked with the auditors, we got everything in, so we'll just wait for that, that will be done before the annual meeting and the CP report. And then, like I said, I have on the very back page, we do a joint with the Village of Brooklyn, Village of Oregon, Town of Rutland. We will start in-person absenteeing on March 19th. Yesterday, the absentee ballots, the mailed absentee ballots went out in the mail, so we're in election mode.
In person the 19th.
Starts the 19th, yeah,
Great.
so.
I know we talked about this, it's not about these specific things, but the
Yeah.
position of the clerk's report
Yeah,
and loan update.
so the loan
What
update
about
is,
moving it early?
so the loan update to me is something that the prior clerk had done. It's not, there's no statutory thing that the loan update has to be there. So it's just a piece of paper that I update every single month. It's the same information.
Right.
Is there anything that you guys particularly need? We go over it at the annual meeting. It's on page 87. Is it something you want to look at? You want me to put it in quarterly? The loans are not going to change throughout the year because
Quarterly is fine, but monthly, I mean, you're talking about monthly before, right?
I put it in every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it fits in with the financial report and the payment voucher documents.
You can put it in there
Why not
too.
just put it on there up front. Because, you know, we get to the end and everybody's like so burned out and you get a horrible audience. Speaking for myself.
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah, I.
Let's just move it up top.
Okay.
With the rest of the treasurers.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's-
That makes sense, that makes
Okay.
sense.
All right, sounds good.
All right, folks, anybody want to stop? Or keep going?
Go ahead and keep going.
All right, without objection, we are adjourned.
Steve, aren't you going to
What's
move
that?
adjournment?
Say again?
Aren't you going to move adjournment?
I'm moving.
Too late. Too late. A second. I'm moving.
Already.
Already did it, I did it. Checked off. Anyone else consent? Thanks for your consent.
9:06, not quite as good this time.
No. There's a lot to talk about.
There were.
Okay.